and welcome to the Cult Cinema Circle podcast. My name is Jesse, and I'll be your host. So on today's episode, we're going to do something a little different than we normally do on the show. We are not going to be covering a particular movie today. Instead, I decided I wanted to have a little kiki with a friend of mine and cover a bunch of different movies, because why the hell not? So without further ado, we're just going to get into this. So you've heard him on a couple of different episodes of mine, everything from Slumber Party Massacre, Sorority Babes, and Slimeball Bolorama, and we just covered the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. Please welcome to my podcast, the one, the only, Pickens Barringer. Pickens, how are you doing today?
I am doing fabulous, Jesse. Thanks for having me back.
Of course. Really, I really only want gay people on my show at this point, and I love that for us. So it's all good. I also like that. I appreciate your political, what I call correspondent work during the Senate Twink hearings and all that, as what I call them, also known as Twitter posts. But whatever, it's fine. Really important. You're doing the Lord's work.
Someone had to Twink Gate was probably my favorite political sexual scandal.
Oh, hell yeah.
Monica Lewinsky.
Oh, it was
the modern
great.
day Lewinsky.
Literally. And then also I'm also interested in the gays' interest in the freedom of Gypsy Rose Blanchard. I mean, I kind of get it, but I don't know.
I'm also trying to figure this out because I am a gay who is obsessed with Gypsy Rose's freedom. Maybe it's just the hive mind at work. Maybe this is the homosexual agenda. Who knows? Who's to say?
Perhaps. Yeah. But I like it though. It's kind of like if you ever seen that movie, that really bad Netflix movie, Single All the Way, and Jennifer Coolidge is in it, and she's like, and for some reason, the gays, they're always so obsessed with me.
I've always been in theater. For the gays, they just know how to do things. They get stuff done. Oh, God.
And for some reason,
movie, but amazing.
Right. Oh, absolutely. And she's like, and for some reason, they're always obsessed with me. And I don't know why, but I like it. And that's just that's
Gypsy Rose right now. Gypsy Rose right now. I do feel bad for her because of all of the mother slay. It's just
it's a whole thing. Yeah. Oh God, we're all rotted. Anyway, so the world's gonna fucking end. It's whatever. Anyway, why are we all here today? So this is actually brought to my attention from Pickens. So he just we were talking one day.
Here at Pickens LLC, we want to say that the comments made by Jesse, the future comments made by Jesse, are complete and utterly his opinion and not mine. I hold no responsibility for what he's about to say.
Oh, so what I'm going to say is that thank you, Pickens LLC. But no, what I was saying is that so I don't know how we got on this, but Pickens brought to me where he said
innocent. We were just going to do the three Black Christmases. That's all we were going to do.
Oh, innocent. Yes, you're correct. No, you're correct, because I was going to do Black Christmas during Christmas time. I didn't feel like it. So instead, that was going to be what we did. And then I was like, no, which is funny because we're going to talk about them today. But pretty much we were like, okay, well, I don't feel like doing those and whatever the fuck. I don't know. And Pickens here brought to me hey, why don't we have an episode where we just talk about a bunch of movies, horror movies that concern sororities, and we'll talk about that. Why not? And I was like, okay, so that's great. So that was in the innocent times beforehand. Okay. And I thought, no, that's gonna be great. We'll have fun or whatever. And now we're here. And now we've watched these movies, and oh boy.
Correction, you have watched all of them. Oh,
I've watched them. No, that's very correct. I have watched a bunch more movies than he did, and still, boy, oh boy. Ooh, anyway, but yeah, so Pickens, why? Okay, so we did want to cover the Black Christmases. I decided I didn't feel like doing that. So but what was it that kind of sparked the interest in being hey, you know what? Let's talk about sorority horror movies, because hey, why not? But I kind of want to know what your thought process was behind it. I'm just fascinated.
Weed gummies are a great thing and also a horrible thing. So one night one of my favorite things to do, my partner goes to this he's in a choir and he goes to rehearsal on Mondays. So usually, I pop a little edible, I make a little snack and I watch some movies. And I think it was the Initiation. I was watching that. Or no, it was Sorority House Massacre is what I was watching, but it made me start thinking about the Initiation. I was like, wow, sorority horror movies exist, man. And then I was like, oh my God, I should text Jesse about this. And I was like, we should do a whole thing about sorority house horror movies. This would be great, and now we're here.
Now we're here. Now I will say, and we'll talk offline about this. It is the 40th anniversary of the Initiation this year. So don't you not think that we're not doing an episode on that movie? Because we will, because it's going to happen the months down the line.
It's one of my all-time faves.
That movie is actually kind of a banger. Spoiler alert, but it is. I kind of like it. But yeah, so that's fair enough. I kind of get what you're saying with that. So yeah, and again, I'm not angry about anything. I'm literally just wow, this fucking genre, man.
Because yes. So, dear listeners, what we started with was a very respectful list. We had, the tried and trues. It was maybe 7 movies, and I was like, this is great. We could totally do this. And then Jesse starts adding, I don't know. All of a sudden,
I'm crazy.
Rush Week was added. Frat question mark? I was like, oh, okay, that was added. Then the next day, 3 more titles were added and more and more until, oh gosh, how many did we get in total? Oh gosh, 14, 15, something
20, 23.
23, who knows, all of them. So yes, and I eventually was just I can't watch all of these. I have Twitter twinks to talk about. I have Gypsy Rose's Celebration, and now the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. I don't have the time.
Wait a minute. So haven't the Housewives of Salt Lake already been a thing though?
Oh, so it has been a thing, but now the season finale has premiered, and oh my gosh. I was not a Real Housewives of Salt Lake City watcher 5 days ago. I am now.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, hey, listen, what else are you going to do in the middle of Utah? I don't know. Okay,
you would be amazed. You would be amazed.
Would I? Anyway, but yeah, so I guess the way we're going to do this episode, is yes. So listeners, I did go a little overboard, because that's just who I am. And plus I had time to watch some stuff. So that was cool. What I will say is that the genre of sorority horror is, a roller coaster nonetheless of anything really. It just, there are some fun movies in this genre. However, oh God, just we'll talk about what we actually both watched, and then I'll mention a little bit about what I watched too. And if there's anything I didn't watch that I didn't watch that Pickens somehow watched, we'll talk about that too. But yeah. But now I want to know, Pickens, just from your expert opinion, being a horror movie expert and also maybe a sorority expert, I don't know. What do you think makes and because we've watched a bunch of these same movies, what do you think makes a quintessential sorority horror movie? What are the beats that have to be?
Well, obviously, a close knit of sisterhood for sure. Mm-hmm. Definitely some sort of, kind of secret that has to be kept. Maybe it could be a murder. There could be supernatural elements to it too. We don't know. Some cheeky kills, and maybe a boyfriend or a frat guy who may or may not be, maybe a red herring or maybe the killer. Who's to say?
That's pretty much, I would say that's generally what that is. So yeah, I mean, I would say also, to go on top of that, lots of nudity. There's fair amount.
Oh yeah, definitely at least one group shower scene. I mean, because they're dirty, they have to clean themselves.
Very much so. Also just lots of pejorative language, maybe misogynistic language as well. In
Drinking,
some of
lots of
these,
drinking.
lots of drinking as well. It's a, like I said, it's a roller coaster, man. And there are some bangers in here, and there are also some stinkers in here. And we're going to talk about those now. How do you want to do this, Pickens? Do you want to do it where we go like chronologically, and maybe talk about some of the things that we'll talk about what we actually did, or do you want to do the ones that we actually all watched, we both watched, and then I'll mention some others that you know you didn't
I would
watch
say
because
we
you're
should
not crazy.
do chronologically.
Mhm.
And yeah, and then we can like just yeah, we should I think we should focus more on like the big ones, and then throw in the
Yes.
fun little tidbits out
Yeah.
the way. Yeah.
I like that. That works. That works. So I guess we'll start this off. Now we're not going to go over like what a sorority is, everybody. Okay. So if you want to know the basic idea of what a sorority is, pretty much it's a thing that was started at colleges to really, I guess, like have a way for rich people to make friends and pretend like they were giving money to the
I think
school
it
or
was yeah, it was like
philanthropic.
the Greek system, which apparently is so it is a very American thing. Like it is like
Yes.
quintessential American. Like the UK is not doing this, and
Right.
Australia ain't doing this. So actually, like I saw a YouTube video about an Australian guy watching a college movie, and he was like, "I just don't understand you Americans with this whole Greek stuff." I was like, "Yeah, it's weird." But it was definitely like a, kind of like a secret society kind of thing, trying like the networking of it all. And yes,
Right.
money and rich people and classism, all of it. It's still, it's toxic. It's not,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Pretty much. I mean, there are certain things. Wikipedia tells me that these are fraternities and sororities are social organizations at North American colleges, like you said. These are generally members are like undergraduate students, although some people do graduate students as well. Individuals, fraternities, and sororities like vary in organization and purpose, but most share five common elements. One is secrecy. The other is single sex membership. Third is selection of new members on the basis of a two-part vetting and probationary process known as rushing or pledging. Rushing is what men do, and pledging is what women do. Ownership and occupancy of a residential property where undergraduate students live. So that could be either on what is called a sorority row, or a fraternity row, or so it's either that is like I think owned by the school and or it's like right off school property, so you can have parties and shit. And then a set of complex identification symbols that may include Greek letters, armoral achievements, ciphers, badges, grips, hand signs, passwords, flowers, and colors. And so again, philanthropic activities, they host parties, they do finishing, like debutante type shit kind of a thing. So again, rich people. And also they can be tax exempt depending. So that's fun. And then also it's been criticized for practicing elitism and favoritism, discriminating against non-white students, and other marginalized groups, conducting bad hazing rituals, which we'll talk about, and also facilitating alcohol abuse. So that's fun. Yeah. And then because also to speak to the non-white people, of course, you then also have, so you have definitely predominantly white institutions of people who go there, but I'm in Maryland, if you didn't know, and Maryland has quite a few HBCUs because we are in the DMV area. So of course you also have HBCUs that also have fraternities and sororities. Mostly, they also get, there's a Panhellenic Council, I believe there is. It's like the people who run all the shit. And one of the things I've heard of is at HBCUs, you have what's called the Divine Nine, which are like the 9 different sororities. And either for surgery, I think it might just be sororities, that a bunch of Black girls try to get into, pretty much. The one that is, there's a couple that are known. The one that I know of is like, the big one that I think a lot of people know of because it's the pink and green is Alpha Kappa Alpha. There's also a little documentary on Tubi about the AKA sorority as well, because they're kind of a very well-known Black female sorority. So anyway, that's enough of my history lesson for today, but I wanted to give that context about what is a sorority, I guess. And yeah, so but let's move on with
Were you ever in a fraternity?
I didn't go to a place that had any of that shit.
I was never in a fraternity, but a lot of frat guys have been in me. So, it works.
Well then, I guess because there must be some North Carolina, fucking colleges and universities.
Yes, where I live in Durham, we have like the big three basically. So we have Duke, Chapel Hill, and NC State, all basically within like 30 minutes of each other. So
that's correct. Yeah.
Yes. Right. Lots of fraternities. Lots of them. Yes.
I went to a private college that had an unofficial Jewish fraternity. And okay. But like, I don't know. Anyway, so to start this off, I guess we could talk a little bit about I don't think you watched this movie, but I did. It's a little movie from 1944, everybody, and it's called Nine Girls. Okay, have you ever heard of this, Pickens?
I have heard of it because it was actually a trivia question one time. I did a trivia at this bar, and they were like, what was the first horror movie featuring sorority girls? So, I was like, Black Christmas. And then he was like, nope, it's actually this little number. And so I haven't watched it yet, kind of out of spite because I was really mad at him. But I mean, technically, he's right. He's right.
Yes. So actually Nine Girls is from 1944. And it is currently on YouTube right now. So you can go and watch it if you wanted to. It's about 100. It's about an hour and 18 minutes, not too long. Basic idea of this is that one of the members of a sorority is found murdered. She's like the bitch girl. And although the police are called in to investigate, some of the girls decide to do some sleuthing on their own to unmask the killer. Now for me, I actually kind of liked this movie. It's a 3 out of 5 for me. What's kind of interesting is that it's not a horror movie, really, but it's kind of a mystery. I don't know if I would go as far as to say a film noir, really, but it's black and white. It's a mystery. There's a twist at the end, things like that. I also like how some of the people talk in this, because you have one girl who sounds like Katharine Hepburn or something like that, or whatever the hell, and she's kind of awesome.
Katharine Hepburn,
yes, she really does talk like it, and it's really fun. And they also have like fun little quips and stuff. So if anything, I would recommend Nine Girls if you're at all interested in this genre. Why the hell not? Because it's also, like I said, free on YouTube, so easy enough to watch. But so we're going to talk about that. And you didn't watch that one, but that's fine. But we will talk about the one where you just mentioned it a few minutes ago. We got to talk about the grandmama, I guess, of them all. Would be 1974's Black Christmas.
Black Christmas, indeed, which I finally had the pleasure this year to show to my boyfriend. He was like, what do you want to do for Christmas? And I said, well, every Christmas I do watch Black Christmas. You need to watch it. And he does not like horror movies. He's kind of like, right. not really big on it. And he actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah. So if you had to explain what Black Christmas was to somebody who maybe has never seen it or anything like that, what would be like your elevator pitch or your little synopsis of what the movie is about?
How I pitch it to people is that, so it is about an unseen killer who is stalking these sorority sisters. You see a lot of his POV walking in all these stalking shots. And one by one, he slowly starts picking them off, throughout the course of like a few days. And then everyone's like, oh, so it's like a ripoff of Halloween. And then you're like, it actually came out 4 years before Halloween. Bam! So it's kind of like officially, unofficially, like the first slasher movie kind of thing. And also, oh my God, Margot Kidder's in it before Superman sucked the sex out of her.
Yes. And also Olivia Hussey. Sorry if you can hear my fan in the background, by the way. I totally forgot that I had it on, but whatever, it's fine. But yeah, Olivia Hussey from Romeo and Juliet is in it, the early version. Also, Topanga's aunt from Boy Meets World. Don't think I forgot about that. But yeah, she's in it. Andrea Martin, who we'll talk about in a little bit. She's in it as well.
Oh, and Nightmare on Elm Street dad, John Saxon. John Saxon,
yes.
Always playing a cop. Always playing a cop. Yeah, and he's sexy in this movie too. He's very
God,
he's so sexy. There's a lot of sexy men in this movie, actually.
There are, yeah, I will say so, because even Keir Dullea, who was literally 30 at the time when he played this movie,
Yeah, that's a that was is that Peter or is that Claire's boyfriend?
that
Uh,
is Peter.
Peter, yeah, and Claire's boyfriend also. He's really hot, especially in that like
Yeah.
wool sweater jacket thing.
Oh hell yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good way of explaining it, really. I think this movie, for me at least, I gave it like a 5 when I first watched it. I was like, oh my god, this movie's so good. Right. And then I was like, I just watched it recently, for Christmas time or whatever. And I've kind of cooled on it a little bit. I gave it a 3.5. It's not a bad movie. It's not at all a bad movie. But I will say, I mean, like, it's fine. It's cool. Out of all of the iterations of Black Christmas, which we'll get to, um, it's the better one. And there's people who are hot and cold on it. So, I mean, I know somebody who hates like all the Black Christmas movies, like really, which is fine. But but I think if anything, I do like this movie because it does have a certain atmosphere to it, and I do like that, I mean, it was trying to say something, again, spoilers, but, we're going to spoil some shit, okay? Because we kind of can't help but do that. But there is an abortion subplot in this movie, and I really like how it's, handled in a way, because pretty much like Jess, who is Olivia Hussey, she's like, no, fuck you, Peter. Like, I'm not keeping this baby. You're lucky I even told you, really. And I think that it's not poetic justice or anything, but it's very much like, it's so odd to think that this came out right after Roe v. Wade passed, and now that isn't a thing anymore. So,
Yeah, and ironically, the remake came out, and then Roe v. Wade was overturned. Just the correlations.
Weird. Anyway, but yeah, so I do think that this movie had something to say. It's very atmospheric. It's not like a boo gotcha type of thing. I think it does a pretty good job with what it is, and I honestly think it's probably. I mean, I haven't seen all of his stuff, but like, I mean, I watched this over A Christmas Story any day.
Oh,
Sorry.
hands down. And actually, what I noticed on this rewatch, it's actually the humor in it is actually really good. It's actually a really funny movie too, like intentionally funny.
Yeah, like the whole thing of like, because everyone back in the day, when we had operators on the phone and shit, there was extensions, and so the extension that they give in this movie is fellatio, and that would be like what you have to call or whatever the fuck, I don't know, but Barb, who is Margot Kidder, she gives this like dim-witted cop this extension of like fellatio, and he doesn't know what that means. So it's funny later on when he's like, "Oh yeah, it's the extension fellatio," and then his like cop buddies are like, "Fuck all, like what the fuck, you dumbass!" It's things like that that are funny to me, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, no, that there is a bit of humor there, which is cool."
Indeed, and also the drunk house mother is just.
Yes.
Just having the B for booze. What an icon.
The toilet water, the toilet alcohol.
Yeah,
it's a whole thing.
That is it's a whole thing.
Yeah, no, and it's still really creepy, because the way it ends is that Jess is kind of the last girl standing, and then the police are like, in the house and whatever, but they don't like fucking seal the house off, because we are to assume that Billy is still in the house, so that Jess is pretty much fucked, but we don't see it. It's very much what your mind makes up. So I think that was very interesting as well.
Oh, definitely.
And again,
the ending really, I will say, so like, I never thought the movie was scary. Like when I watched it, I was like, oh yeah, like this is, But then the Alamo Draft House a few years ago had a screening of it. And so it was the first time seeing it in the theater, like, with this like really great sound mix and everything. And like for the first time, like the ending, even though I know what happened, it just really got to me. Like it really like I got the creepiness finally from seeing it like in the theater.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is kind of a beginning of what would be known as Canucksploitation, which is Canadian exploitation movies. So after this, you have a lot of what David Cronenberg did with like Shivers, Rabid, The Brood, all those. Also like fucking what is it? Like Terror Train, I think is technically Canadian.
Yeah, Terror Train,
Um
Prom Night is
Happy Birthday to Me.
My Bloody Valentine.
All
Yeah, yeah,
these.
yeah. Because
Yeah.
like, there's tax credits. I think they're the tax. They did like this
Yes.
tax thing, and so yeah,
There's a tax credit that makes it a little bit cheaper to go to Canada, which is why everything is shot in Canada.
that's why Toronto makes the best New York.
Yeah, pretty much. So anyway, yeah, but there's that, and then also like one of the things I like about Black Christmas, the original, is Jess answering the phone calls and stuff, because the phone calls are fucking creepy as shit. I love it. Oh my god, it's so aggressive. It's just hello. It's so good. Who? It's so funny. Like, but even like the Billy is just like a faceless guy. He's just like we don't know
Yeah,
him.
that's I that is like one of the big criticisms I do have of the movie is that
Right.
the whole time you're hearing about these obscene phone calls and like, oh my gosh. And I will say, like, when friends watch it, there is always this like, so wait, what, was the cop that, like, what, who's the killer? Because you never find out anything about him except for these little tiny tidbits throughout this weird phone call that he's making.
Yes. And just the phone calls are really fucking weird. Like they're obscene phone calls and it's just like fucking gross. But
it's like The Exorcist just playing in the background. Just a lot of like,
yes. But yeah, it's so gross. Yeah, but I love this movie. It's pretty good, and I just really enjoy it. So for sure. And again, when we get into the other iterations, we'll talk about those.
Yeah, the good, the bad,
yeah.
and the ugly.
Oh God. So the next one, I don't know if you watched it or not, but
one last thing about Black Christmas. One of my all-time favorite scenes in any horror movie is Barb's death, though, with the glass unicorn while they're singing the "Oh Come All Ye Faithful." Yes. That is like, I think, one of the most beautiful orchestra. Like that's straight out of like a Italian giallo. It's like that good of just how artistic it is.
I do like it as well. I think it is very artistic, and I think it does a good job for sure. Yeah, because that was definitely when I first watched this. Because it was a recent watch for me. I hadn't watched it before until like maybe 2 years ago or like a year ago. I'd never seen it. I was familiar with it, but I didn't watch it all the way through or anything. And yeah, no, it's pretty good. Anyway, so the next movie I watched, which you might have watched, I don't actually know, is a little movie from 1978 called The Initiation of Sarah. Did you watch this one?
I have seen it. I watched it like last year, so I was like, I remember enough of it to remember it.
Yeah, pretty much. This was actually a TV movie that was done. So this is kind of in the wake of something like Carrie, which ended up doing pretty decent at the box office when it came out. But I pretty much would say it's Carrie Goes to College. Basic idea of this movie is a shy misfit, Sarah Goodwin. She has a secret ability, the ability to control and destroy stuff with her mind. When she goes off to college with her like more popular outgoing sister Patty, they have a plan to join like the most prestigious sorority, but which is funny, the sorority president's name is Jennifer Lawrence, which I think is really fun. Anyway, but pretty much Sarah doesn't get into the popular sorority because she's different than her sister. And then Patty does, though, but she's like, she can't talk to her sister, though, because she's in the ugly sorority, Sarah is. Anyway, Mrs. Hunter, who is a part of the PEK sorority, I think it's pigs, elephants, and something or other. I don't remember. They call it something derogatory throughout in the movie. But pretty much what she's doing, again, spoilers, but Mrs. Hunter's pretty much the house mother of this other sorority, and she is planning to use Sarah's abilities to like fucking get revenge or some shit or whatever. I don't know. Yeah, this movie for me, I gave it a 2.5 personally. It is currently on Tubi at the moment right now, and that's why I watched it. It was just fucking boring, dude. I mean,
That's I've tried like to watch so many made for TV movies, especially around this
mhm.
time period. And like, yeah, it's just, it's like, it's not like, obviously they can't show anything because it's a
Right.
television movie. So there's not that angle. I mean, actually though, this movie did have some nudity in it, which kind of is a
Yeah.
little controversial, but like,
Yeah,
but I
yeah,
mean,
because Morgan Fairchild plays
hmm,
the Jennifer
the
Lawrence
Jennifer
character.
Lawrence, yeah, because she's in the shower, I think, and they she's nude, and they saw it, and she's also thrown into a fountain, I think, and like wet
Yeah, something like that.
t-shirts. Yeah, it's like nipples were shown, people were upset,
It's the
but
whole
it's like,
thing. But yeah, it's
yeah,
her. She's the most well-known one now, I guess, because she's
hmm.
been in other stuff. Shelley Winters, though, who was a popular actress, she was Mrs. Hunter, so she's like a comedic actress from back in the day.
I love Shelley
Um,
Winters.
yes, and Kay Lenz as well. Kay Lenz has kind of done some stuff. She was in like American Graffiti. She's in House with William Catt, stuff like that. So she plays Sarah. But yeah, no, this movie was just kind of boring, honestly. I will talk about the remake because I did watch the remake. That
You
movie is
brave
fucking crazy.
soul.
Ooh,
Oof.
that movie. Ooh. Anyway, but we'll talk about it. But yeah, that was the initiation of Sarah. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it, but if you want to, go ahead, I guess, because it's boring at some point. It just doesn't keep my attention. So I was like, okay, cool, I guess. But yeah, but again, it's about sororities, like, and you kind of feel like the rivalry that they can have sometimes with one another. So I guess that's kind of interesting. But yeah, so the next movie I have, though, I think you have seen it, is from 1981, and it is Hell Night, starring Linda Blair.
Yes, I do. I have a soft spot for this movie. Is it
Mhm.
slow? Yes, it is.
Oh yeah.
But it has a really good atmosphere, and it has, I don't know, it's fun. It's a little fun. It's a little weird. It's a little
Hmm.
whimsical. But that's my complaint. It's like an hour and 40 minutes when it should be like an hour. It needs to be. They could have cut some stuff. It's a little slow.
I agree. I agree. So yeah, this movie in particular, so it stars Linda Blair, like I said. It also has Peter Barton, who is in the final chapter for Friday the 13th. He's in there.
And
And
just as
also
dreamy.
and Vincent Van Patten, he plays one of the other guys in it. He's from
Also
Rock and Roll
super
High School.
hot.
Yes, they're both super hot. And then you have a British lady in here as well. It's either Sookie Goodwin or Jenny Newman. Anyway, there's a British woman who doesn't lose her accent. So that's fun. But pretty much what this movie is about. So four college pledges, they are forced to spend the night at a deserted old mansion where they get killed off one by these monstrous surviving members of this family massacre that happened, for trespassing on the grounds. So part of it in this movie is that it's supposed to be a prank that the other members are. So this is kind of fraternity and sorority a little bit,
Yeah,
but it's
it's a weird
supposed to be, yeah.
convolution. Yeah,
Mhm.
I think they just needed co-eds, and they were like, "Oh, let's just do
Yeah.
this."
Yeah, but it definitely focuses on the fact that Linda Blair is a person, so it's got to be in there, and that's why I put it in sorority horror. It's why a lot of people do. But but yeah, it's supposed to be a prank for a little bit. But then they find out that it's real. Um, and then Linda Blair, it like I think the movie ends with like a freeze frame of her,
Yeah,
escaping and living.
that's I think that's what makes me so irritated about this movie is that so there's a lot of like atmosphere building, like there's a lot of long dialogue scenes, like character setup, and then then they like I don't think anyone gets killed until like I think like maybe the 50-minute, like it takes a while
It takes
for
a
it to,
while.
yeah. And then so you go through all of this, and then like these kind of like this awkward chase scene for her to finally escape, and then it just ends, freeze frame, end, roll credits. It's like, oh, okay, wow.
Yeah, it's just, and I mean the guy who like directed this, he went on to also do like not a bunch of different things. He did Angel 3, which is fun. I have never seen Angel 3, so I don't know.
I've only
It
is
looked like he's
Angel is
also done
the
porn.
Angel's the one where she's the high school student by day and streetwalker by
Yeah.
night. I've seen the
Hell
first
yeah.
one. The first one's good. I have not seen the other.
I have not either, but I love Angel so fucking much. That movie's boss. But yeah, so it's on Shutter, I think, that you can watch it on. It's a fun little watch, probably for one time, but I wouldn't
It's pretty
necessarily
to look
rewatch
at.
it.
It's fun
Yeah.
to like, if you were having a Halloween party, honestly, it'd be really great just to have it playing in the background, and yeah, wouldn't be mad
Yeah.
at it. The atmosphere is really good. The lighting is really pretty, and
Yeah.
Linda Blair, I love her so much. She's not good.
He's not very good in this either because they don't give her much. I don't think this is written very
That
well
is that.
either.
To be fair, that is true. She really was not given much. It was just a lot of, oh god, that was so creepy.
Mhm.
I want to get out of this house. Oh,
Yeah.
and they were all wearing like old timey gothic.
Right, because they're all
clothing.
dressed in costume.
Yeah. It's weird. It's a weird movie, but it's definitely worth watching once, and then have it play in the background for a Halloween party.
I can agree with that. I am amenable to that for sure.
Great poster,
Also, apparently,
incredible poster.
it is a really good poster, and also it was executive produced by Chuck Russell, apparently, which is kind of fun. I was like, oh, that's weird. So then the next one I watched, and I do not know if you watched it or not, but you need to get on watching it, is One Dark Night from 1982. This movie, I messaged you a little bit about it, but and as you can see, we're not really going through like the background fucking shit because we have too many movies. But but this movie I think is fucking great. Personally, I gave it like a 3.5 at least. Like I would watch it again completely. Were you ever familiar with this movie before?
Sorry, but I was halfway through talking. I am familiar with it, but I have not seen it. It's been on my radar. I'll say that.
Yeah. Yeah, so this movie in particular, it's on Tubi right now at the moment, but they did also do a Blu-ray release of this as well. So this is most well known, I think, for being Tom McLaughlin's first movie he directed. So for those who don't know, Tom McLaughlin is the guy who did Part 6 for Jason, for Friday the 13th, one of my favorites. He's also had a very interesting career with directing Lifetime movies as well, which is cool. And all of that. But this is his first directorial feature. And the cast of this is kind of a little stacked cast. You have Adam West playing the adult.
I was like, oh my gosh.
Meg Tilly in her first role, pretty much, if I'm not mistaken, like one of the first. Also, a young E.G. Daily, who is the voice of Tommy Pickles, because she was an actress back in the day.
Yeah, that was wild to me. And yeah, I do remember watching an interview, and she didn't name this movie, but she did mention in this interview I was watching that she was like, oh yeah, I was in this, like one of my first movies is this horror movie, and I was like, what?
Yes. Also, Pickens, if you have not, I'm telling everybody I can, who might be interested in Meg Tilly. If you have not went down the rabbit hole that is Meg Tilly's Cozy Tea Time on YouTube, bitch, you need to do it. It's literally
adding it right now to my watch list.
It's Meg Tilly talking to a camera, drinking tea, and she's talking about just her being like Meg Tilly and like the things she's done. She's, if you don't already know, she's not really an actress anymore. She's an author, but she talks all about this shit. Jennifer Tilly, her sister, is on one of them as well. It's fucking awesome, dude. I'm just saying, if you're a Meg Tilly fan out there or anything like that, go watch this movie. But also, like,
subscribe. I'm gonna watch it after this.
Hell yes, because it's so relaxing. She's got that nice Meg Tilly voice and like all that. It's amazing. Also, I will say she's the best part of literally that Body Snatchers remake. I love that Body Snatchers remake, by the way, but like she's the best part of that fucking movie.
Absolutely, by far. Absolutely.
Oh my God. Oh, anyway. And she talks a little bit about that too. Yo, she just seems like your cool, like aunt or like your mom or something. Like, I love it. I love a Meg Tilly. I'm sorry. Anyway, back to One Dark Night. But this movie, so it's actually sorority, but like it's a friend group in high school. I think I believe that's what it's supposed to be. It's not
you can make
college.
exceptions. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not college, but it's these three girls who are the sisters. That's their name. That's their name. And they're initiating this new member, Meg Tilly, into the group. And the thing pretty much is that they're having her stay overnight in a mausoleum. Overnight. That's the initiation that she has to do. In the meantime, this guy who died with a bunch of women in his apartment or whatever. He died mysteriously, and his daughter, apparently, who was married to Adam West in the movie, she's coming to terms with some shit. But mostly it's that, and then also, like I said, Meg Tilly being put in this like mausoleum overnight or whatever. They did shoot at I think they shot it Forever, Hollywood Forever. I think they did a little bit there. And they did do some stuff in a real mausoleum, like a very well-known one in Los Angeles. Yeah, and this movie is just like, it's so like, I don't know. I really liked it. And I think just the fact that, and also it's a PG movie because Tom McLaughlin went in wanting to make an R-rated movie. He was like, okay, we're gonna try and make this R-rated. And then when he got his stuff back from the MPAA, they were like, no, it's PG. So like that's so weird to me too. And the movie actually did pretty decent when it was out. And yeah,
Hell Night actually got a PG rating too originally. So they actually and the producers like freaked out and they had to go back and add stuff to make it R because it just shows how different the time period was. Nowadays an R rating is like a death and you would cut it for a PG-13. But back in the day, there's like, oh no, it has to be R or we'll make money.
Yeah, no, seriously. And then it's also kind of cool too, because so if you ever watch this movie, which I'm sure will, but you'll see that there's a fun Nancy McLaughlin cameo in here. Nancy McLaughlin from she plays Lisbeth in part 6 in the beginning.
Yes.
With Tony Goldwyn in that movie. And that is Tom McLaughlin's real life wife. But at this time, they were not married. I think they met not too long after this, and they've been married ever since, which is kind of cool. And it's funny. She's in a scene where the guy who's like interested in Meg Tilly, but like was with one of the other girls in the group or whatever, which is why they're fucking with Meg Tilly pretty much. He's going to like this arcade on the beach or whatever, because they did it at Santa Monica Pier or something like that. But he goes to talk to somebody at the arcade or like some girl that's there. The girl is Nancy McLaughlin, which is funny. So, and you'll be like, wait, that bitch looks familiar.
Look at when I watch it. Yeah,
you should, because you'll literally be like, wait, I know her. But yeah, so needless to say, I really like One Dark Night. It is currently on Tubi, like I said. I'd probably own this. Like, I think it was actually pretty cool. Like, and also just the shit they got away with, like, because it kind of ramps up near the end, really. But I think it's definitely worth a watch. I love the girl who like chews on a toothbrush the whole movie. Like, she's one of the sisters.
I've put weirder things in my mouth, so let's say.
Anyway, but yeah, so One Dark Night. I think this is a really decent movie, and it's, again, I consider it sorority horror because I was seeing it on other lists too, so I was like, okay, because there is an initiation of some sort, so that's in there. The next movie we did talk a little bit about, and we both have seen it, I believe. But this movie is from 1982, I believe, or 1983.
83.
Yes. And it was The House on Sorority Row from 1983, directed by Mark Rossman. Shot in Pikesville, Maryland for some reason. Don't know why, but it was.
It just really has that college look,
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It's like, I mean, if anything, like, they found a really nice house in Pikesville and they just like shot it.
The house is gorgeous. The house is gorgeous. And the soundtrack is gorgeous.
It is. But yeah, so if you had to explain like what House on Sorority Row is, we kind of talked about it in our sorority Row episode. We kind of skimmed over it, but
yeah, it's a little different from the remake, as in, so it's the end of college, it's the school's out for summer, and basically all the other sororities, they get to kind of stay on campus for 2 extra weeks, and they usually have these big parties. However, this one particular sorority, the house mother closes the house early. They have to leave immediately. It's the very last day they're allowed to be in the house, and they decide to play a prank on the house mother, which
Hmm.
accidentally she seems to have a heart attack and dies. So, what typical what's a college girl to do? They don't want to ruin their life, so they hide the body, throw this banging party. But comes to find out, the body goes missing, and they start getting killed off one by one.
Hmm.
Oh,
Yes. Ooh.
with a
Yes.
very complicated ending. It was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, you have to do a lot of puzzle putting together to kind of make it make sense.
Yeah, because I think the whole thing with that movie is that so it's interesting because Mark Rossman, he's then gone on to do he's actually had like a fun little he I mentioned this in our Sorority Row episode, but he directed Cinderella Story and Life Size. So he had a little bit of a Disney career as well. And all that kind of shit. He got some like it's really cool to me that he got a couple different people in this movie. So he none of the actors are like well known. Like none of them skyrocketed or anything,
No, not really.
but they're all from like LA and whatever. So you have like Kate McNeil, who's kind of a little horror person as well. She was in like Monkey Shines and like Space Cowboy and stuff like that. Um Elaine Davidson is like a soap star. Even like the old woman, the house mother, I guess, the oldest woman, Mrs. Slater, like she was just like a local actress, I think. So there was that. But yeah, no, and so Rossman, I think, was like sort of he was inspired by Diabolique, I believe, which is a French horror film, which I
Yes,
see
and
as
really
well.
good, really good.
Very good. Yes. But that's a school horror, which is kind of fun. But yeah, it's that. Yeah, and then the whole thing is that like I think Mrs. Slater's like
It,
emotionally disturbed kid, I guess,
yeah,
is
like
the
because
killer.
the movie starts and she like she gives birth and like it's a bad pregnancy and it seems like I think they
Mm-hmm.
say like the baby didn't make it or something or deformed or whatever. And so basically she locks up the house because he comes like he's alive and he
Yeah.
comes back and because they didn't leave the house, he kills them, but we never know.
Yeah.
But the whole time they're thinking, is Mrs. Slater alive? And she's killing them
Right.
as revenge. And just and yeah, and he's wearing this clown outfit for some reason. It's just
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of like what is this? Great movie, but
Right.
it does like a great leap, but it does not stick the landing.
I can agree. It is a little convoluted, I will say. Yeah, just a little odd. Oh, also, Harley Jane Kozak, who I think is another person as well. She was in like Arachnophobia and When Harry Met Sally and all that. So it was kind of fun that she also was in there. But yeah, and also some of the crew. Richard Band did the music for this movie. Charlie Band's brother, from Full Moon. Vincent Peranio, who is John Waters's like set designer and like production designer, he was on this movie as well because he's local to Baltimore. And then also Tim Scherstedt, I believe, or whatever. He was a cinematographer. He's gone on to do all these different movies. So it's kind of cool that like back in the 80s they just made this like weird fucking horror movie. Like, why the hell not? But yeah. So yeah, the movie is weird, but give it a watch. It's on like, it's very accessible. A lot of these movies I feel like are fairly accessible in
You
terms of
really
watching
are,
them,
yeah. Like
which is
it's not
cool.
really hard to find any of these, and yeah, like, this
Yeah.
movie has been like it was on Prime for the longest time, and I
Hmm.
think it's now
Shutter.
on Shutter. So yeah, it's definitely worth watching. It's fun.
Yeah, Tubi, all that stuff. Yeah. Then so now we got to talk a little bit about a movie. That again we will be doing a probably standalone episode on this. So we might do standalone episodes, or I might do standalone episodes on these movies at some point if I feel like it. But we got to talk about a little movie from 1984.
Delta
It's called The
Road Kai
Initiation.
never will die. Delta Road
It's,
Kai never
it's
will
so
die.
good. I I loved this movie. I gave it like a good like 4, which I'm surprised by for me, like because I was like, wait a minute, what? Like, why did I like this so much? But I don't know what it is. What did I say about it? Hold on, let me see what my activity is. Um, I was recommended this movie by a friend, you, and boy, I'm glad I watched it. This is so early '80s, and I really enjoyed myself with it. The effects, the cheesy music, the twists, like it is all those things.
It
Like I don't
really
know, like
is. It fits so many. So it's a sorority horror movie. It's a mall horror movie. It's a
it is
slasher movie. It's a dream. It's
all
like
of it.
they like literally. They literally I think got a whiteboard and just threw things at it,
Mhm.
and then just were like, okay, we're making this plot happen. It's like,
Yep.
okay, we're okay. It's a sorority house, but they have to go into a shopping mall. But
Yes.
but she has dreams. It's just like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, it's so all
Oh
over
my
the place.
god. It is. It is. Because you told me to, because listen back to our episode on sorority babes and slimeball bolorama, which we'll get to in a minute. You told me to, instead of that movie, because that movie's not that good, watch The Initiation instead. And that was my recommendation I get from you. So yeah, no, this, and also just like, so this is a one and done from Larry Stewart. He never directed again, I don't think.
Which,
Did
yeah,
one and
which
done.
baffles me because, like, I mean, really, everything with like his direction was so good, and like the
Yeah.
setups and like the pacing. It's a really good movie.
Yeah, it's not too bad. And then also just like so like you have like the weird, it's not weird cast, but it was like shot in Texas, like so it was just like shot in Texas for some reason, like there was that
Vera
and then
Mills is in
also
it from Psycho fame.
yes, Vera Mills, who had just been in Psycho 2 at this point with again Meg Tilly. So there's that. Clu Gulager, rest in peace, we love you. We recently just lost him, but he's like Jesse's dad from Nightmare 2 and like the fucking what was he, the oh god, he was the coroner slash whatever the guy in Return of the Living Dead. Love that.
Oh yeah.
Amazing. He plays the dad of Daphne Zuniga, who this is like one of her first roles. Um, just fucking banger. Hunter Tylo, who I don't know what else she did, but is like a spitting image of fucking Nancy Allen. It's
Oh my
crazy.
god, insane! Like she like for I think when I first watched this movie and I didn't know any better, I think I was saying like, oh yeah, I think Nancy Allen's in this movie. But yeah,
Like
she
literally.
literally looks just like her.
Like she literally looks like her. Like it's crazy. Cause I was like, this bitch looks like Nancy Allen. It was crazy. But anyway, love that. But yeah, no, and like the pretty much the idea. So if I had to explain this movie to somebody, so it's pretty much about a girl named what's her name? Kelly. She's rushing. What's their name again?
Kelly Fairchild. Oh, a
Yes.
Delta Rho Chi. Never
Yes.
will die.
Because that's what they chant to the pledges. But yeah, and I kind of liked that. But so she's an amnesiac because she had some trauma as a kid, I guess. We don't know about it. But she's trying to figure out what's going on with this shit. This guy who is like a psychology professor is trying to help her with her dreams. Because she's also having weird dreams, I think, too. Um anyway, what ends up happening is that Kelly, along with two of her people, Nancy Allen lookalike, and the other girl in this as well, I think Marsha or
Marsha.
somebody.
Marsha.
Yes. Which we love Marsha. I loved Marsha. I was so sad when spoiler alert she dies, but
Yeah.
yeah,
For a slasher movie, they do give a lot of good like like the character development in
yeah.
this movie is really good.
It actually is like I really did kind of care about these people in some way. It wasn't just like it's not Chopping Mall in that way. You know what I mean? Chopping Mall is very much like we're not getting to know everybody except Kelly Maroney. So like, you know, it's one of those things where I could get into that. But anyway, but yeah, so pretty much what happens is that Kelly, Marsha, and what was the other girl's name? Allison, they get tasked to go to the
Yeah,
mall,
so
the local mall.
Kelly's dad owns this shopping center,
Yes.
and so as part of their initiation, they have a hunky security guard, and one
Yes.
security guard for like this multi level, like what would you say, like 7 or 8 story?
Well, yes, like it's a big mall.
One security guard, that's all.
Yeah.
So basically, they have to break in. They have to steal his clothes
Yes.
and then get out. Is essentially what they have to do.
But there's a killer on the loose that's been happening, and what we end up
broke out of the
finding
mental
out.
institution. That's the other,
Yes.
yeah. There's also a mental. It's like seriously, the set pieces are just all over the place.
Oh
like
my
the
God.
setup is just you see everything.
Yeah.
You see the killer escape from the mental institution. You see him start killing people and stalking people. It's just it's
Yeah.
everywhere.
And actually, because we will be doing a standalone episode of this, I'm going to keep spoilers light. I'm not going to spoil anything. But yeah, that twist at the end, man. Oh man. Yeah.
It was crazy.
But I really did like this movie. It recently, I think, within the last few years, had a Blu-ray release. I think it was Arrow. I think it was Arrow who did it.
It was Arrow.
Yes. Is it actually a good release? Like, it's pretty decent.
It's great. The transfer is beautiful, and they actually do have like a lot of special features because for the longest time it was just the Anchor Bay DVD, and I think it just had the theatrical trailer, I think, and maybe one other thing. So yeah, it was
right.
Much welcomed.
Nice. But if you do not want to spend money on it, that's fine. You can watch it on Tubi. It comes on there every so often. And yeah, Pickens, I'm glad that you told me about this movie because I actually liked it, and I think my 4 will stay around. It will oscillate between a 3.5 and a 4, but I like this movie. Like, I actually really do, and I do because of the 40th anniversary. I want to do a nice little standalone to talk about it.
Absolutely, yeah. It's one of my deep cuts that I always like say, like, watch this one, watch this one.
Yeah. So we're going to move on to the next movie we have, which is female directed. And it's a part of a film series that tended to be well, it was at least female directed the one time, not the other times. But we have a successor to a movie that me and Pickens both really like. Sorority House Massacre from 1986, I believe it is. Directed by Carol Frank. So this is you correct me if I'm wrong, Pickens, but like this is kind of in the Slumber Party Massacre universe.
I think I think you just write it up to Roger Corman. He loved to save a buck, and if he had some stock footage, he'd use it. But yes, this movie gets lumped into the Slumber Party Massacre universe because they use footage whenever when they were trying to do flashbacks and stuff. They will reuse footage from Slumber Party Massacre to retell the narrative,
which we'll talk about in the other movies, because guess what?
Especially
because guess what? In this movie, they don't do that.
They don't, but in the trailer they do. The trailer,
which is funny.
The trailer in this movie, they show clips of Slumber Party Massacre. But in this movie they don't. But then then the sequel they do a whole thing with Slumber Party Massacre. It's a
twice
whole thing.
It's crazy. We'll talk about it. They're coming.
Yes. But ironically, this is also about dreams. Like
it is
coming off of the initiation. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, so Beth is our main character. She is rushing a sorority, or she's in a sorority. And her sorority sisters are being stalked by an escaped psychopathic killer who shares a strange telepathic link to her. I think the link is that they are related, I guess, like her and the killer or whatever the hell. But it's he's like her brother. So like it's a big Halloween ripoff, but she's like having dreams about him, getting psychically linked. Apparently he killed his entire family except for her for some reason. And through like the 10 years from killing his family and her going to live with her aunt, her house, her childhood home becomes a sorority house. Okay. Right. And you just hear a lot of high heels walking on pavement. That's what this movie is. Just a lot of clop, 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 clop. There is a lot of that. You're very correct. And then also just like really, I will say that this movie is very like colorful. It's filled with pastels because it was the 80s. And also just a random trying on girly things.
That is one of my all-time favorite montages.
It's a good montage.
The cheesy, like it's almost parody level montage.
Oh, it's so good.
Music, just the clothes going on, just like woo.
Oh, it's great. Yeah,
and also the most tackiest, like like they went to JCPenney's probably and just like grabs everything off the rack. It was just like, here we go.
Oh, absolutely. Ross Dress for Less, like probably, absolutely. So this movie, I think you also explained it before to me, where it's boring, but it's, it's like a fun vibe movie, if anything.
You definitely need to be in the right mood and mindset to watch the movie, because if you don't, you're like gonna be like, this is awful, I hate this is torture, just kill me now. But if you're if you're in the right you're in the right mind space, you're just in the right state of mind, and watch it, you're like, this is just everything to me. It's like simultaneously the worst thing you'll ever see and the greatest thing you'll ever see.
Yeah, no, I can second that. Yeah. It's on like I think it's on Shutter every so often. I think it is on Tubi. Like it's pretty accessible to find, which is cool. I will also say some of these movies are also on YouTube.
Hour and 18 minutes. It is a quick watch.
Right. I agree. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's interesting that this movie became a thing, or like it started, because then the sequels go completely off the board. But yeah. So the next movie we have in this is also one we already talked about before, so we're not going to delve too deep into it, but we got to start with, I believe it is Dave Dakota's directorial debut, which is Sorority Babes in the Slimeball Bowl-orama from, I believe, 1988, I think it is.
Yes, and the best thing about this movie is the title.
And Linnea Quigley.
Oh my gosh. Oh, and Linnea Quigley. I so apologize. Yes, and Linnea Quigley. Oh, and Michelle Bauer. Yes. And yes.
And Michelle Bauer.
Yes, and Brink Stevens. Yeah, yes, the B3, the three Bs. Yes,
the three Bs, and also Robin Still. Don't forget about her. We do love her.
Can't forget about her. We love her too. Yes,
we love her.
The actresses and the title; those are the only good things about this movie.
And also Hal Havens, from our boy from Night of the Demons.
Woo woo!
Pretty much playing the same character, to be perfectly honest. I'm not even kidding. But yeah, so we did an episode on this. I don't like this movie that much.
It did not.
I watched it twice.
It did not hold up. I remember watching it, and I think it was one of those, like, I think the stars aligned, the moon was out, and just the vibe of the atmosphere. I was watching the movie, and I was like, yeah, this is just everything. This is so great. Yeah. And now watching it, I was like, oh no, this does not hold up at all.
Oh no, it doesn't. It's not great. Like it's sleaze, which is fine, and I can get into sleaze and Sherlock and everything, but this movie just wasn't that good to me. Linnea Quigley is literally like the saving grace of this movie.
If you want to watch a good Full Moon Pictures film around that time, you should watch Slave Girls from Beyond Infinity. I
have that on my list.
That one's fun. That one is fun.
Yeah. It's just the basic idea of this movie. Again, we already did an episode on it, but pretty much these fraternity guys see these, they spy on these girls at a fraternity, and they get caught, and pretty much the boys and the girls get tasked with stealing a trophy from the local bowling alley, which is also part of a mall, and they are accosted. This trophy has what's called an imp in it, called Uncle Impy, and he is granting wishes. It's like the monkey's paw, but like it's just
very stupid. Good. They all turn into they get possessed, demons, murder, death. Linnea Quigley is a badass biker chick and just clearly did not want to be there. She was just like, okay.
Check. Also, we can't forget Andreas Jones from Nightmare on Elm Street 4. Love him too. He's like the main guy in this. So, but yeah. But hold on, wait a minute, because we're not off the David Dakota train yet. Because I want to talk a little bit about a movie. I don't know if you watched it or not, but you can watch it on YouTube.
I have seen it,
and I liked it. And it is Nightmare Sisters from also, I think, 1988.
I think so. Yeah, like this is kind of like the
movie.
This is like the better version of Sorority Babes, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. This one was harmless, dumb fun. It's so
Dakota. Fun. It's David Dakota, yes. Who, again, if you don't already know who he is, so he made these two movies, but also he's kind of found a niche for himself. He made like a bunch of weird homoerotic like horror movies that are not that.
1313 is the series, and I have the only one I've seen is Cougar Cult, only because they were Linnea Quigley, Michelle Bauer, and Brink Stevens are in it, and so I was like, oh, this is awesome, and then found out it's just an hour of young attractive men
Mhm.
showering, just
Yeah.
shower scenes, and then
Yeah.
really really bad clip art cougar faces
Right.
appear on their faces. It was awful, but he prides himself on being able to shoot a movie in like a weekend. So
He
you get what you
does.
pay for.
And he has a rich friend who has a nice house that he shot in. But he's also gone on and done some Lifetime movies as well, where he is also he's the genesis of the Wrong series, which I called something different when I talked about it before, but it's the wrong roommate, the wrong real estate agent, the wrong cheerleading coach, and all
Hey,
of these movies are
he
directed.
finds a niche, he sticks with
Yep.
it.
All of these movies are directed by Dave Dakota, who's a gay man, and they all star Vivica A. Fox. Get that bag. I appreciate that. Um, yeah, Nightmare Sisters. Okay, listen, Vinegar Syndrome has this for like $20, and would I own it? Like, probably, most likely. Like, I think I would. It's kind of a gender reversed sorority babes a little bit, because pretty much the girls in this, who are the holy trifecta that is Linnea Quigley, Brink Stevens, and Michelle Bauer, who is not Michelle Bauer in this movie because her husband at the time, her ex-husband, was going to sue her, so she's under a different name. But the three girls, three chicks, they are like these geeky sorority girls who are the only ones left at the sorority house, and they invite these three geeky guys over pretty much, and they have a seance, and the seance then results in them becoming sex-starved vamps, and how will they be able to stop this horrible possession? Yeah, that's what this movie is. Literally, there's just part of the movie where they're three women are just topless, and they are just these weird demons, and I fucking loved it.
Yep, it's awesome. It's ironic too because like I think this was filmed after Sorority Babes, and
I
they
think
literally
so.
just they had left. They were like, oh, we have some money left over. We have some film left over. Look, we
Mm-hmm.
have these actresses here. Let's just make a movie. Let's have
Yeah,
fun. It was shot
pretty
like in like
much.
less than a week or something, and and
Yeah,
somehow it's weird. They like made it actually a better product from the leftovers than they did with the main
I
meal.
absolutely, yeah. Also, Dookie Flyslaughter is back. Dookie Flyslaughter is the voice of Uncle Impy from Sorority Babes, but he is also the voice of the racially insensitive whatever you want to call it character who is in the crystal ball in this movie.
Yes, the ghost of the
Okay,
crystal ball. But yeah, I don't know.
whatever that is, I don't even know what to call it. I believe I don't know what it's even called, but okay. Also a fun little fact as well of this movie. So let me see. One of the guys, he or wait, no, who is this? There was one guy in here. Let me look real quick. Hold on. Oh, yeah, yeah. So one of the guys who is CJ Cox, okay, he plays one of the other, because there's this fraternity, so three geeky sorority fraternity guys, and then there's like the cool fraternity guys. One of them is CJ Cox. So he's in this movie. He plays what the fuck does he play? JJ, I think it is. Or no, Bud, that's his name.
Oh yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, do you want to know what he literally did this movie and like another movie, but he also went on to be a writer. I think he's also maybe gay in real life. But he is the guy who wrote Sweet Home Alabama with Reese Witherspoon. He wrote that
What?
movie. Yes, I'm not kidding.
What?
He literally wrote that movie. He went on to write a few movies. And then also, I think he's gay in real life, which is funny because I think they kind of had to tell him maybe a little bit like, hey, like, cool down on the gay, a little bit. So yeah, no, the writer of Sweet Home Alabama is in Nightmare Sisters. Yep. I don't know
Oh
why
my God,
either.
I love that. I love Sweet Home Alabama. Oh my
Well,
gosh,
well, the guy who wrote it is in
crazy.
Nightmare
This is
Sisters.
okay. This is gonna make me appreciate the movie even more now.
Like, oh my god, this is what the '80s was. I guess everybody like literally just who knows? People just had their shit, man. Yeah. So that's a little bit what Yeah, I think that's our Dave Dakota movies we've had pretty much. Now I watched a little movie, so you did not watch it. However, it is on YouTube so if you want to. It is Rush Week from 1989. So this movie I became familiar with because Haunted Hippie on YouTube, Kylie, she talked about it in one of her reviews or like one of her what I watched or whatever. And she actually liked it. And she's kind of a tough, like, critic, if you will. She's not really a critic, but like, she doesn't like everything. She is a becoming filmmaker trying to be. So, I was like, damn, like she gave this like a 3.5. Like, that's surprising. Yeah, pretty much what this movie is. So I don't think you've seen it, Pickens, but it is on YouTube, like I said. But this movie is pretty much about a girl, Tony, who transferred into college. She is become aware of some co-eds who have gone missing, and is trying to investigate. She's a journalist. She's a journalism student. And she decides to investigate this for herself. She becomes embroiled in a whole thing with deeply buried secrets. There's a killer, all this shit, right? So the guy who directed this, I don't want the trailer. What the hell? Sorry, I did that real quick. You said you also watched this trailer too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I did see the trailer. It did intrigue me.
Yeah, it's interesting. So the guy who directed this actually did stunts on a bunch of movies. He did like Space Jam and like Set It Off and all that. So it's kind of cool. And he did like 2 other movies after this or something. But yeah, it has not many people who people would know. Like Pamela Ludwig, I guess, if you know of Under the Cherry Moon with Prince, she's in that apparently. She has a striking resemblance to a Rose McGowan, I would say, kind of, sort of.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, Pamela Ludwig. Who else? Roy Thines. He's like a well-known actor dude. He plays like the dean of the school, whose daughter, I guess, little spoiler, but his daughter died as part of something on campus. So like, because the thing is that the frat in this movie, because again, this is in the sorority fraternity thing, because it's not really about sorority girls, but it is about fraternities a little bit. And it is kind of fun. Like, one of the fraternities, there's 2 fraternities. There's one that's like the popular one. There's the other one as well. And the other one is GAE, which I thought was kind of fun. I know. And like there is like, I don't know, it's kind of fun. Like there's that one of the pranks that the popular one pulls on this gay fraternity is that they show like a gay porn film like at this like little mixer thing that they're gonna show like here's what our fraternity is about.
I am here.
Yeah. Also girl, Catherine Kimmont is in this movie a little bit. So we love a Kathleen Kimmont. I mean, of course.
Yes, me.
Bride of Reanimator and Halloween 5, I think. Whatever one.
Oh gosh. See, I knew which one it was before you asked me.
Yeah, something.
I think it's 4.
I think it's 4, whichever one that she, is the daughter of the police officer or whatever. Anyway, there's that. So she's in it for a few minutes, I think. Greg Allman's in this movie, the musician guy. Like, what the hell? This movie's kind of all over the place, but it's not like bad though. I would definitely give it a watch if anything. Also the Dickies are in it from Killer Clowns from Outer Space. They play a band, which is kind of fun. Like, what the hell? But yeah, no, yeah, it gives me some fun, and it's 1989, so we're coming like late 80s into the 90s. And I think if anything, like, I don't know, it's like a little whodunit, it's like a mystery. It's kind of like Nancy Drew mystery as opposed to like a hack 'em slash 'em, because there really isn't much blood in this movie. Like, it's not one of those. So I don't know. It sort of fit the category a little bit, slightly, kind of. But yeah. So
yeah, I will definitely check that one out. That one does sound appealing.
It does. Yeah. So then we're going to move into our next 2 that are a part of an earlier series that we did already. So we have Sorority House Massacre 2, which was 1990, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And also Sorority House Massacre 3, also known as Hard to Die. as well, which they were both done by they were both done in the 90s, like literally 1990. And there's a little bit of a story with this movie as well. So have you watched, I guess you've watched these movies before, or have you ever watched them?
Oh no, I have seen these. Yes.
Mhm.
I think the year I got like I bought uh all of Slumber Party Massacre and all
Right.
of Sorority House Massacre when they were on those really hard to find out of print DVD. Like I lucked out. I got
Okay.
them right before they went out of print. The Massacre series things that New World Pictures was releasing. So I watched them and I was like, really, I was like, oh, I'm so excited about this. Sorority House Massacre 1 was so great. Let's watch number 2. Oh, it's a different movie.
Oh, it's a different movie. It is done by
Yes.
our lovely Jim Wynorski, who
This is
is
the
also
one that
known.
introduced me. This is the one that introduced me
Yeah.
to him. I think
Yeah.
he's famous for having a quote, breasts are our cheapest special effect in our business.
Yes. He's from Chopping Mall. He directed Chopping Mall, but also
Mm-hmm.
he's just directed all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
He directed both of these movies. However, he did go under a stage name for the third one. And what's interesting, so what these are about is that the second one is about these girls who move into the Hochstetter place, which is assumed to be the house from from Slumber Party Massacre, apparently.
I maybe I don't know, or I think they just
Whatever.
needed stock footage for this
Yes.
background, and I don't think they had enough money. So I think they just took the plot. They were like, "Well, let's just use footage from
Yeah.
this movie."
Yeah, pretty much. So like these girls move into a sorority house. And I think what had happened with Sorority House Massacre 2, or it might have been Hard to Die, but I think it was that literally they had they had already fucked this place up, I think. Because they had done Slumber Party Massacre. That's what it was. They had done Slumber Party Massacre 3 or something like that. They did
It was
some
3.
movie.
It was 3. Yes, they
Yeah.
reused or no. Summer Party Massacre 2, you reused the same set as like an insect movie, but this one I
Right.
think did reuse the same set as it was Summer Party Massacre. It was one of it was a
I
reused
think it was the
set
third.
that was kind of like
Yeah, which
kind of
they
messed up.
trashed. They trashed on the Slumber Party Massacre movie. They trashed it. And so Jim Wynorski was like, hey, I think I can make a movie in this. Like, whatever. Give me some money and I'll do it. And that's how he got Sorority House Massacre 2. And literally, like, yeah, that is why that's why this house looks the way it does. It's supposed to be that they're fixing it up to be the new sorority house. There's a weird neighbor by the name of Orville Ketchum who is like the villain, but he's not actually the villain, but they think he's the villain. None of these girls in both of these movies, there's one girl in particular who does not know how to do an American accent at all. So she just has a British accent, swear to God.
Yep. The whole time, and they wear nothing but lingerie. Like pretty much 90%
Yep.
of the movie.
Oh, literally. And it's the whole thing of like they're trying to figure out what's going on. There's a whole possession when it comes to Hochstetter. And the weird thing
Oh,
is
I forgot about the possession thing. Oh my gosh, you're right.
Yes.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, it's just oh.
Yeah, it's weird. But yeah, so because they find a Ouija board and like they start doing some shit with it, and the whole possession comes out. Yeah, dude, I don't know. But what was weird is that the movie, I know, I think it is on YouTube. You can find it pretty easily. This and Hard to Die are both on YouTube, so you can find them. Yeah, this film, yeah. So the weird thing is, everybody, is that so they make up this whole thing about like this massacre that happened at the Hochstetter place, which is why it's been abandoned. And they literally just use the footage from Slumber Party Massacre and they call it Hochstetter. So we're supposed to assume that Coach Jana was the wife of Hochstetter, and then the girls who get killed are his daughters, apparently. That's what happened.
And I love that they like I think they like when they cut in the footage and they add the scream, they, clearly these are like adult women in Slumber
Oh
Party
yes.
Massacre, but they add in these little girl screams to make them seem like they're children. And you're like,
My
okay,
God.
we're really like, we really did not have it in the budget to shoot this flashback sequence. Got it. Cool.
Yeah, yeah. It's very weird. I mean, I gave this a 1.5. I did not like it that much. I thought it was kind of shitty, honestly. Mm-mm.
I would, can you even rate it? It's called Sorority House Massacre 2. And it is just literally women in 90s just
It,
running from place to place.
what's weird, yes. And then also, it's so weird because it has nothing to do with Sorority House Massacre 1 at all.
Oh,
There's nothing.
I don't think it was meant to be. All
I
of
don't think it
these, I
was
don't think were
either.
meant to be sequels. I think they just made it, and then they were like,
Yep.
"Well, okay, this movie sucks. We need people to
Right.
print it somehow." They're like, "Well, Sorority House Massacre was fun." Meh.
However, I must say, with Hard to Die, that shit was kind of lit.
Hard to
That
Die was
shit,
incredible.
that is amazing.
I do. I think I still do. I still do have a VHS copy of it. Um,
Because Hard to Die is pretty much the same movie as Sorority House
Literally
Massacre
the
2.
same movie, just in a skyscraper.
Skyscraper at a lingerie company with
Oh,
these
that's right.
four
Yes.
temps. Uh-huh. It's the same movie. Literally, they use the same footage from Slumber Party Massacre. Uh, but let me tell you something. It's still done by Jim Wynorski, but it, for some reason, is so much more interesting. And I don't know why.
It
The one, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's the same thing with like Nightmare Sisters and Sorority Ball Rama. Just like
Yes.
it's like literally the same formula, but for some reason it works with this one and it just did not work with this one.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, man, because I think even don't they reuse
Maybe
some of
because
the
they have
actresses or
guns.
no?
Oh yeah, I think the survivor of the Sorority House Massacre 2. I think
Yeah.
she's the lead in this one also. I think
I think
if
so
I
too. Yeah.
yeah.
She sounds like Mel B from the Spice Girls.
She really does. She really
Yeah.
does. And I think
Love
this
her.
one they do have guns in this one, right? Yes, they do.
They do have
Yeah.
guns in this one, which
So
is fucking
maybe that
awesome.
one. Maybe that's what it's. I don't know. It's just. Oh, it's just.
There's like
Yeah.
a police like subplot where the police go to like a strip club because like they have to interview like a stripper there or something, and like the one person, who was it, wait a minute, let me look real quick. So the also fun little thing too, so Kelly Maroney's also in this movie Hard to Die. She plays she's in a porn movie that's being directed,
Mhm.
who Jim Wynorski is literally the porn director, so it's really funny. um but yeah, it's her and Monique Gabriel, and they're like shooting the scene with a guy. It's very funny. I really liked it. But also like Forrest J. Ackerman, who is, if you don't know who he is the old guy. He's like the doctor in this movie, but also he is literally the literary agent of like a bunch of sci-fi writers because he was like a sci-fi guy in his time. So he like was the literary agent for like Ray Bradbury, L. Ron Hubbard, all those people, shit like that back in the day. And he was in some movies, I guess, which is kind of fun.
That
But
is fun.
yeah, no, but what was the other? There was some oh my god, whoever this, am I thinking of the wrong person? I might be thinking of the wrong one because I feel like I might be thinking of the wrong movie. There was a movie where they had to go to like some strip club or something, and there was like a famous like foreign actress there or something, but maybe it's the wrong one.
I mean, this sounds like this could be the one, but yeah, it's been a minute since I watched this one, and
Yeah.
for a while it was Hard to Die. It was hard to find too. Like it was
Yes.
very hard to
Yes.
find. But now, yes, it is on YouTube. So
Yeah.
I should scroll through that someday and just kind of revisit it.
Yeah. I think you should too, because I think it's I don't know what it is, but it's just a more fun movie. I don't know why, but it just is. Like I'd rewatch it like completely. Would not rewatch Sorority House Massacre 2. That shit was boring.
No,
Oh
God, no. Mm-mm.
God. So I'll get around to talking about the other ones that I watched, but I do want to talk a little bit about I don't know if you've watched any of these though. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. Well, I was saying, looking at the list though. There is a glaring one that you actually missed that I'm
Oh,
actually
which one
shocked
did
you
I
missed.
miss?
Scream
Oh, I think
2. Scream
yes.
2. You missed Scream
Yeah.
2.
I did.
Just
I
realized
did.
that. Mm-hmm.
I did.
Mm-hmm.
And also, here's the thing too. So Hard to Die is a sorority movie, but it isn't
It's
really.
not at all. No.
It's fine, but it's in the same universe. So like, okay, whatever. We'll count it. But yes, you're right. Scream 2. It is kind of sorority horror because I personally like it a little bit more than the original Scream. Just saying. That's
Yeah,
me. But
you people exist, and we love and respect
a little
you.
bit, a little bit. But I just think it does really good, and I think it's really decent. Um, but there is the whole thing of like Hallie, played by Elise Neal, who is Sydney's roommate. She is trying to rush a sorority, and I'm like, girl, you're a black girl. You're not gonna get in that sorority. I don't know about that. I don't know.
Hey,
We'll
Portia de
see.
Rossi may have let her in. We don't know.
Maybe.
We didn't get to see the ending of that. Oh, and Sarah
It's
Michelle
true.
Gellar and her just iconic death scene.
Ah,
CC.
Cece Cooper.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Omega Beta Zeta. Ah, so good.
God,
And Rebecca
so
Gayheart with her hair. Ah, amazing. And also it's fun too because like with Scream 2, like it is a it's Scream Goes to College, which is fine. But also it's like, yeah, like it is talking a little bit about that. It also we're supposed to kind of think that maybe Portia de Rossi and Rebecca Gayheart are like the killers, kind of maybe. Like
well, yeah, like there's a potential
it's
chance.
in there.
We watched like I remember when I watched it the first. Scream 2 does have Scream 2 is I can't say it's my favorite. It's one of my favorite opening kills
Yeah,
of the series.
good.
It's a really good one. But watching, I remember I was like kind of shocked the first time I watched it with the killer reveal. But now watching it back, and I mean, obviously, it's now that I know, it's like, but it seems just so glaringly obvious now when I watch it. I'm like,
Right.
oh my God, she's literally always in the background, always giving like kind of creepy looks. Just like, of course, so obvious. But
and of course we're referring to the fact that it's a double killer as normal. It's Debbie Salt, who is actually Mrs. Loomis, played by Laurie Metcalf, and also the yummy Timothy Oliphant playing Mickey.
oh, Mickey, you're so fine. You're so fine.
Oh, he is for a killer. He's crazy, but Timothy Oliphant is sexy. And if you haven't watched Go, you need to go watch that. So it's fun. But yeah, no, I do like Scream 2 quite a bit. I think I do like it a little bit more than the original, but I still love the original though. And I like it way more than Scream 6. I am sorry, but actually I'm not sorry. Scream 6, I mean it was
four. Oh, oh gosh, no.
I'm also not the hugest. I'm not the hugest person on the new Scream movies. I literally gave both of them 3s because I'm like, I'm good.
I like them. They got me reinvested. But of course now RIP to the franchise at this point.
I literally, yes, I did comment on someone's little Instagram post about like, you know, should they let it just die? And I'm like, yes,
that's
just fine.
That's what I honestly just cancel it. I don't want to see whatever lame excuse.
Yeah.
Just cancel it. Publish the script that you were going to make and just make a novel out of it so we can read it.
Sure, because I just don't I don't care and I wouldn't go see it. Yeah. I went and saw the other Scream movies in theaters and I was like, okay, great. But like if they made something, I'm like, it's too much bad blood. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
like
too much bad blood and just I don't want it.
You pissed off Christopher Landon. I don't like that either.
They literally pissed off everyone. No one wants to come back now. Everyone's like, no, I'm done. Bye.
Yeah, no, like literally. And so it's just fucking stupid. And yeah, we'll get off our Scream soapbox in a minute, but like it's just and honestly, it's so cool though because these people already did have some sort of career anyway, but I think just having them be in this series will give them a way to go into other things. Because I'd love to see Jasmine Savoy Brown and Mason Gooding and all these people in other series. I just don't need them to come back to Scream.
Mason Gooding read the phone book to me. That man is delicious.
What I like about him is also like, yes, he's a nepo baby. I think he's aware of it. But also the fact that like, to me, he also just seems like a big nerd, which I really appreciate.
Oh, he is a huge nerd. He actually is a huge horror aficionado. Because
Yeah,
I remember he and Jenna Ortega, they were like talking about some deep cuts. And I was like, oh, y'all actually did your homework. Okay, I like
yeah.
y'all.
And his dad is Cuba Gooding Jr. Like, what the fuck? But I mean, hey, go off, girl. Like, good for you. And he's also sexy. So I mean, God bless. Like, truly and utterly, God bless. So yeah, but yes, Scream 2. I will consider it. I like it. Do you have any other parting words of Scream 2 before we move on?
Yeah, it's just Sarah Michelle Gellar just runs
Hell
this
yeah.
world. We love her. And it's just a great, yeah, it's a fun one. It's, it's one, in my opinion, there is no bad Scream movie,
Agreed.
but it's great. The college atmosphere is awesome and the sororityness
Mhm.
is sororitying. So yeah, go check it out.
It is, yeah, I would say so. And it is it's interesting because like fraternities and sororities are a little bit of a plot point because, Derek, Jerry O'Connell is in
Actually,
a
to be completely
sorority.
honest, I kind of
Like,
want to
yeah,
see an alternate universe where the killer never came, and I just kind of want to see where this like kind of interpersonal drama would have ended. Like, I want to see the
sure.
college comedy that Sidney Prescott deserved after surviving Scream. But I'd love
That's
to see
true.
where everyone ended up.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. So we're gonna also talk a little bit. We're coming back to a movie that we already talked about a little bit earlier, but this is a new iteration of it. This is the first remake of Black Christmas from 2006.
Hmm.
Now, again, I wanted to do an episode on this and whatever. Maybe I'll get around to it at some other time, but I didn't feel like doing it. Um, I think we said it during our sorority row episode. I will say, at least for me, this movie, I believe, is like a 3 for me. Is this a good movie? No, it's not that good of a movie, really. However, is it entertaining? Yes, to a point, I feel like. Is it
To a
misogynistic? Yeah.
point. To a
Like,
point.
it just, yeah, it is like it is entertaining to a point. It's but there is some stuff where I'm just like oof. But it was 2006 as well. It's not an
Yeah,
isolated
they
incident
were
there.
trying. I think my ice cold heart has thawed for this movie a little bit over the years. Yes,
Yeah,
because I think when I first watched it, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is the Hollywood's awful. Like movies are the death of
yeah,
cinema is happening before my very eyes." And I'm
right,
like,
right.
"Oh, 2006 was such a simpler time." I love so again, my wonderful boyfriend. Not only did he watch the original Black Christmas with me, he then also entertained me and watched the remake right afterwards. I was
Hell
very,
yeah,
very nice and did not subject him to a movie that we'll be talking about later on. But
we will.
he actually did enjoy aspects of the 2006 one. First of all, it is star studded.
It
I'm
is
talking Mary Elizabeth Watson, Michelle
Winston. Yep.
Trachtenberg,
Lacey Chabert.
Lacey Chabert, Kathleen Cassidy oh
Katie
gosh,
Cassidy.
Katie Cassidy. She was like in everything around this time.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah,
Andrea
and
Martin
just
from the original.
oh yeah, Andrea Martin from the original. Oliver, what's his nuts from that show?
Kate Hudson's
Yeah,
brother.
yep, yes. Oh gosh, so hot. Yeah, it was a great. It's a fun. It's yes, you're right. Is it a good movie? Absolutely not.
Nope.
But there's it was just such it was right before the iPhone took over everything. It was just
Yes.
a more simpler, innocent time. The
Yeah.
dialogue is there. The mom, they do give Billy a backstory, and
They
unlike the
do.
Halloween remake and like some other remakes, I feel like this backstory actually worked. I mean there was no backstory in the original,
Right.
so
Right. Right.
I think the backstory they gave, because they really did, actually take those very like outlandish, crazy, obscene phone calls. It actually did piece together a story that made sense in
Yeah.
actuality. Yeah. So Billy actually has a full story, and
Hmm.
there's a lot of eyeball stabbings. If you're not a fan
Yeah.
of eyeballs getting destroyed, maybe skip this one. This movie ain't for you, boo boo.
It's very gory, yes. And so if
Yeah.
you're into that, then that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the gore is something that I can like kind of appreciate for that. And just like again, the star-studded female cast, of course. Um, Obviously, go ahead.
Oh, no, but I actually, you're right. I do have beef with this movie, though. I do have beef with this movie
What is that
because
beef?
of we were lied to in the advertisements.
Yes, we were.
Those so when they were making the movie, I guess for some reason, well, because okay, we're gonna address the elephant in the
Hollywood.
room. The Weinsteins produced this was a Harvey Weinstein joint thing.
Yes,
I
yes.
guess the footage they shot was not satisfactory to him. So he went and like without the director's knowledge,
Yes.
he like got it like a stunt double and like some random actress and shot some scenes specifically for the trailer. Now I'm
Mhm.
furious because there is this amazing scene in the trailer where a character is getting basically there's these Christmas lights being pulled up into this like
Yeah.
lawnmower type thing, and
It's
she's
Lacey
being dragged
Chabert.
into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it looks incredible, and that is the sole reason why I was excited for this movie. Because like, oh, this is gonna be so cool, and it didn't happen, and I was furious.
Yeah. That's what happens, boo. That's
Release
what
the
happens.
trailer cut.
Oh my God. Yeah. So I mean, but again, there are a few things that are like weird in here. I don't know why Agnes is played by a full-on man. I don't quite know. It's a little odd. But overall though, I mean, this is probably worth a good one-time watch, it's
At
better than that
least
remake.
two.
At least two. It's better than the most recent remake, which we'll talk about. And yeah, I do like this movie. It's not a bad one to me. I give it a 3.
The colors are
And they
coloring.
yes, the colors are coloring. I will say that much. And if anything, they did something a little different with the story. So I can at least appreciate that for sure. But yeah. So with that being said, so we did do a whole episode on Sorority Row already from 2009. I don't think we need to rehash anything from that episode.
All I'm
Pretty
going to
much
say is justice
go
for
ahead.
Chugs. Just justice for Chugs.
Justice for Chugs. Yeah, you could listen to that whole episode if you want to, but pretty much this is just a remake of Sorority Row. Or the House on Sorority Row, a little bit different, but same kind of thing, and all of that. Now, I don't think you've seen any of these other movies, so we will talk a little bit about the horrid, not very good, well-made remake of Black Christmas, and then I'll go through some of the other movies as well.
Oh, mama.
Oh, so I will say first and foremost that this movie, we are two white men who are cisgendered gay men. I don't know Pickens like that in terms of what he's gone through in his life. He doesn't know what I've gone through in my life or whatever, right? So take that with a grain of salt and take that for what it is, right? To my tens of listeners. But I think this, and I do think Sophia Takal, who directed this and all of that, she seems like a perfectly nice woman. I'm sure she is. And I will say, I think she was put into a very precarious situation with this film, which we can talk about a little bit. But whatever they were trying to do with this movie, no.
How I describe it is, I think this movie wanted to be what the Slumber Party Massacre remake ended up being.
I've said it before and I'll say it again with you on the episode. Yes.
Yeah, it's just, it really, they had, yes, I think their ideas were good. I think they had a well-intentioned.
Yep.
I just think that they either just submitted a first draft and it was just, yep, make that, or something. And it just, it fell. And yes, this is two cisgendered gay men talking about this, but
a very feminist movie, right?
I will say, well, that's my thing at least in my experience and perspective. I think, the movie, as a film franchise, it started very feminist Then
Right.
it
It
kind of
did.
took a little. Then it kind of took a little nosedive with the first remake. And even
Yes.
though this remake is really
Trying.
amping up it's actually, I think, really did it a disservice and was actually the least feminist of all of them.
Yeah, I think the worst crime that this movie committed was that it's called Black Christmas because I don't think it needed to be.
Completely. And the Diva Cup line, the line with the Diva Cup was just
I
ugh,
just these things you can
and
go
cringy,
it,
cringy.
yeah, and I think that Sophia Takal was put into a weird position by Jason Blum because pretty much I think this is just my own opinion and this is another opinion I've heard that and I agree with it that he was being criticized because he didn't really have a he didn't hire he kind of said that there aren't a whole lot of horror filmmakers that are women um and whatever. So he's getting a lot of heat for that because, there was a whole thing where he posted something on Twitter about some shit and he got ripped apart for it. Um, don't yell, I think was part of his things that he was said to like the feedback given to him.
Yeah, it
Also
was
hire
not good.
diverse as well. It's bad. So I think Sophia Takal was put in a situation where he said something about how like, well, there's not a whole lot of female like horror directors or anything like that. Blah blah blah. And so people wanted to rip him apart for it. And then he was like, oh no, here's lady. And I'm
Here's lady
like,
writing about lady stuff in movie. Yeah,
yeah, and it
she was
didn't
kind of set
work.
up to fail. Like
I
beloved
think so.
horror, icon. Already have
Yeah.
done. In at least film terms, a fairly
Yeah.
recent remake. We all
Right.
remember the remake,
Right.
and
So yeah.
just
I
that it
also
was.
don't think she was ready. I don't think she was ready for it.
Mm-mm, mm-mm,
And
yeah,
this is me speaking as somebody who's not a filmmaker at all, and I've never want to be. But she had only done the Into the Dark thing, I think, on Hulu. She had done one of those. Which those are varying quality anyway, but like, apparently hers was fine. Um, I just don't know if she should have done the feature film because this is also her debut. Boom,
right.
here you go.
And
Like,
yeah, and it was completely and it was it was weird because like obviously the right leaning Republican horrible
yeah,
people they didn't like it obviously, but even like
right,
the more liberal people they also did. Like I saw it with one of my friends and she literally was like, "Is this like making fun of feminism?" Or
right.
it was because it was so like Twitter hot word topic like literally it was
Yeah,
just
buzzwords, all of this.
buzzwords, but
Yeah,
like every piece of dialogue that the one character, oh gosh, I'm blanking on her name. But she's like this,
Chris.
yeah, Chris. Like literally every single piece of dialogue of hers literally sounded like she was just reading a Twitter thread, like
Yeah,
literally. And it was just the song that they, oh god,
yeah, like
in
the
the
Mean
frat
Girls
house,
song. Yeah,
yeah, and just
and again,
and
it's
the fact that
important.
the
Yeah,
frat guys were the black magic of it all and the weird it
yeah,
just men are oh god it was just ooey. So yes
yeah.
so the Slumber Party Massacre remake is it's weirdly enough kind of the same, not the same plot, obviously different, but
It
in the
is.
way that it's like, okay, these girls are being stalked and murdered and they decide to take action into their own
Mm-hmm.
hands. But it's like the Slumber Party Massacre, which is also again written and directed by women.
Yeah,
They did such a better job with
right.
it was actually like an empowering movie, and it was fun. It played with gender roles and it played with
Yeah,
like tropes of horror movies and everything. Like it really
yeah.
came together in a really, really well made package. And
Mm-hmm.
this one just felt so like just so soulless. It
Forced.
just forced. That's what it really was. It felt forced.
I also the fact that the ending was just like, I guess, burn it all to the ground. All of these men have to die and just like get burned up. Okay.
Yeah,
Then
just mhm.
also you telling literally breaking down the whole story of what's going on in the
Oh
drive.
yeah, yeah.
That
Oh
was
god,
weird. And I love me an Imogen Poots. She's cool. Like, love her. Great actress. and she's like the saving grace of this movie, but it doesn't save it very much. Again, and it's interesting just because like Hack the Movies, which is a YouTube channel you can watch, they did talk about I think they talked about these movies before, and they had two of the female correspondents on that channel, and they both hate this movie, and I watched that
Yeah,
YouTube video of it because it
it's
didn't
like
work.
you can just clearly tell that everyone involved with this movie either just they didn't really care about the original. Like, there was very small little like kind of barely references. Like I think
The Exorcist 3 reference.
The Exorcist 3 references was so random. There's I think like a glass unicorn is like given as a gift, and like I think the cat's name is Claude. Like very
Claudette is
sorry Claudette, because oh my god. But then again, I know it's not like a broken record, but then look at the Slumber Party Massacre remake. Like,
no, it's
you
true.
can clearly tell that they loved the original and they understood why the original,
right.
Yeah. There's also references to like the Slumber Party Massacre movies and the remake, but you don't roll your eyes at it. You're like, oh, it's like, yeah, oh my god, yes,
yeah.
Like she's wearing the Space Babe shirt and like just stuff like that.
You said this before. You said this before on the Slumber Party Massacre episode that I had you for 45 minutes on. But but it literally like it feels like the fact that a sci-fi movie could do that and a Blumhouse movie missed the mark.
It just
it just shows.
It just shows, it's like, it's not just you could have the biggest production company in the world back you up,
right?
But there has to be a passion. There's got to, you got to have the feeling, and that's the thing. It's like when you're watching it, you're just like, I'm not feeling that. Like, do you even like horror movies? Like, do you like movies? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just so.
I think what it is for me, at least, I don't put a whole lot of blame on Sophia Takal for this. I really don't.
No. I do. I agree with your opinion that I definitely think it was.
I don't think it is.
Make this movie.
You need to make this movie, or we want you to make this movie in only like this amount of time. I put a lot of the onus on Jason Blum because I think he put her in a weird position.
I had been reading this movie was not like, it wasn't a shock this movie was made because it had been talked about for a while that he had, I think he did get the rights like a few years prior, and had been talking about we're going to do a remake, and then I think he kind of Roger Cormaned it and just just threw it at. He's like, here you go, you're making this movie now, go.
Yeah, because apparently Sophia Takal wanted to do a remake of I Spit on Your Grave, which would have been interesting, and which they already did before.
Yeah. Did a woman do the remake? Did a woman?
I don't think they did.
Yeah, I would actually be very intrigued by a female, viewed version of an I Spit on Your Grave, because yes, I would love to. That would be a very interesting update. Actually, I would love to see that.
Yeah, because people already have their own things about R word, revenge and stuff like that. I get it. I actually don't mind some of the movies. Like Miss 45 is really good, and there are some that are pretty decent. I do want to watch I Spit on Your Grave. I think it might be a good one to watch. I want to watch the original one.
Have you ever seen it?
No, I have never. No.
It's so I will. Okay.
I promise this is still a sorority horror podcast.
Probably yes. It is. There are aspects of the movie that there are interesting filmmaking choices that he made. And do you know the backstory on why he made the movie?
I don't really know. No.
Okay, so he and his wife were walking, and they found an assault victim in the park, and she was like, and it's a typical man response. He's like, and that's the day I found out this is actually pretty traumatizing and awful. So he wanted to make a movie basically to show kind of like, hey, man, this is actually kind of bad in a weird way. It's 45 minutes. The entire assault is a 45-minute scene. Ugh. And and there's no music. It is literally 45 minutes of just hearing someone screaming. It's a tough watch. It
Okay,
was
fair enough.
not, yes. So it has all the trigger warnings on it and everything. It is a very, when I watched it as a teenager, I was like, oh yeah, like it
Hmm.
was shocking, but whatever. But now watching it as an adult who has gone through an experience,
Right,
that I can relate to now, it was a much different watch. It was
right.
actually very like, oh my gosh, like, oh my gosh. But I think that's also kind of the point of the movie too. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's like, yeah. So it would be an interest. Yes.
sure, sure. Yeah, and that's what I was thinking. Thank you for being vulnerable by that. Of course, so because people have their own stories about assault and all that kind of
Mm-hmm,
stuff. So,
mm-hmm.
I want to be sensitive to that, of course. But that would have been really interesting to see that because I don't think those remakes were made by a woman. So, but yeah, I don't know. It missed the mark. I'm glad the girl in it. One of the girls went on to be on the White Lotus. That's
Oh
cool. I
yeah.
love that
Oh
for
yeah.
her.
Yeah. That was
Um,
awesome.
like but and Carrie always got a paycheck. That's good for him too. But I was just like, Mama, this did not work for me. Nope.
Yeah. I
Nope. Nope.
think
Nope.
it's time we need to put a blanket on Black Christmas and say good night.
Yes.
Billy
Yes.
is finally officially home.
Oh
Oh,
God, yes. Um, so yeah, so that's I think all the movies that we have watched, like we both have watched. So I'll go back
that
a little
is
bit.
correct. Yes.
So I'll go back a little bit about just kind of speed round through some of the ones that I have watched. So because I'm crazy. Um, so back I did watch a little movie from 2003. I watched a few of them. So if you want to watch these Pickens, it's up to you. But this is called Final Examination. It is currently on Tubi. Do you know who it's directed by? I think I just told you this a couple days ago.
I think you
Uh,
did. I'm blanking for a wonderful viewing audience and for my brain. Tell me.
Fred Olin Ray. He actually directed this
Yes.
movie.
Oh,
Uh,
yes. Love me some Fred Olin Ray. Yes.
Director of Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers.
Hookers, the best. Oh, the best.
Just a lot of sleaze, some Lifetime movies. He apparently directed a movie with Marla Sokoloff in it. It's like a little Lifetime movie that's fun. But yeah, so this movie, Final Examination, it's about LA, like detective. They move to Hawaii because they're investigating this murder spree that's happening during this sorority reunion, is what this is, pretty much. Um, I gave this movie a 2. Okay. And so as part of my journey into the world of sorority horror, I decided to throw this on because, Fred Olin Ray, in the Dave Dakota, camp, if you will, very much. Um, I will tell you this right now, Pickens. This is literally just softcore porn. So
I mean, it's Fred Olin Ray. I don't know why I can never say his name right, but yeah, I mean, you get what you get.
yeah, and then the girl in it, the main chick, Carrie Warher. Do you know who she is? She's from Anaconda and like Eight Legged Freaks and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Carrie Warher. Fun, good for her. But yeah, she plays like she plays the main female detective that's in Hawaii. That Brett Huff is the guy who comes. He didn't really do a whole lot, I don't think, but he's like the main guy in this. But
Sounds like he does a
it's
lot. He
softcore.
comes.
Exactly. But yeah, no, it's literally this might have been. I think this could have been. Wait a minute, was it? Oh, also like the lieutenant, like the sheriff's name is Huge Anus. Like that's like one of the
Oh, okay,
names.
okay. Yeah,
We're talking.
yeah, we know what we're talking now.
Yeah, we're talking. We know what we're talking about. Okay. But it's like literally like just softcore porn with all these people. I don't know if you know any of these people, like Debbie Rochon. Like she's been in a couple things. She's Canadian. Belinda Gavin. I don't know who the hell that is. She's been in some horror movies. Amy Lindsay. I don't know who the hell that is. She was in Stepsister from Planet Weird, apparently. But yeah, girl. Final Examination. It's a 2. You can watch it if you want. It's sorority. And we're supposed to believe that these women are only 5 years out of college. Bitch, where?
Mm-mm-mm.
What the
Nope.
fuck?
Oh god,
No,
well,
ma'am.
gosh, the ones in the '80s, had convinced us they were in college.
Like
Just like,
literally,
wow,
literally.
we ate a lot of vegetables today, didn't we? Wow.
Oh my God, it's crazy. But anyway, yes. So there's that. Um, there were a couple of them that I turned off. I don't remember them exactly. Delta Delta Pi Die or something was one of them. It was bad. There were a couple of them I was just like, I'm not doing this to myself. But I did watch Delta Delta Die from 2003, which is Devin Hamilton. He directed this. Didn't really do a whole lot. He was apparently in the movie Killjoy, which is like a known horror movie. Apparently he's in that movie. But
The title sounds familiar.
yeah, yeah. And so pretty much what this is about is it has Brink Stevens in it. She and Julie Strain. Do you know who that is? Do you know who that actress is?
No.
So she was in like a couple things, but she's since passed away, unfortunately. But
Mm.
she was like kind of a, I don't know how to explain her, but like, she's got like the big boobs and like she's just kind of like she's not a video girl, but like, she's in like that kind of buxom,
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
whatever the fuck, right? And so she was actually the Penthouse Pet of the Year. That was one of the things she did. Okay. So this is what we're talking. So Delta Delta Die is where she's the house mother to the sorority, Delta Delta, I guess, or whatever the fuck. Delta Delta Pi, that's who they are. And what we find out, again, spoilers, but we find out that they're actually cannibals pretty much. And they're eating frat guys that are like,
Oh,
they lure in.
iconic.
I know, right? So yeah, there's that. Who like produced this shit? So it's a full moon feature, technically, so it's in there. It has some people in it too. So Brink Stevens, she plays dejected sister who knew Marilyn. That's like Julie Strain, and this is Rhonda, is Brink Stevens. So like she comes back and kicks all their asses pretty much. Don't know who else is in this movie really, except for Tiffany Shepis. Do you know who that is?
No, no, not him.
Oh, her. Tiffany
Oh, sorry,
Shepis.
her.
So
Tiffany. I thought you said Timothy.
no, Tiffany Shepis. She is from like Romeo and Juliet. She's in Victor Crowley.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah,
I've definitely.
I'll show it real
Oh,
quick. Here's our visual medium.
oh, yeah. No, I do. Okay, I do know her.
Yeah.
I'm also
so
with names. I'm better with faces.
it's fine. But yeah, so she's in there. It's fun. I mean, it's on like Tubi, I think. Again, it has to do with sorority. I think I gave it, what the hell did I give it? I gave it a 2 because it is 2003, very 2003. It's just not very the best well done, really. But it's fun. It's a cannibal cult, that kind of shit. There is dong in the movie, so I appreciate that. Love that for them. So
Hashtag bring more dong on screen.
that is something you and me talked about a little bit, where I do want to have more dong in movies. Like I really do.
Yeah, I mean, we were privileged with May December and Saltburn this year, so or last year.
True.
So, yeah.
I have watched Saltburn and I did see the peen. Does May December have peen too?
May December does. It's one of those you have to like. It's very dark and you kind of have to blink and you'll miss it kind of. But we are not complaining.
Okay, good. Okay, I'm gonna have to watch that movie. I haven't watched it yet.
It is actually real. It's real. I really enjoyed it. I know it's gotten some discourse on Twitter because it's
right
campy, but it's watch it. Just watch it.
Okay, I will. I'll get around to it. But the next movie I watched that you didn't was The Hazing from 2003. Also, I think it's a full moon movie, if I'm not mistaken. I think it is. No, it is not actually. Never mind. This is just a little horror movie. So again, I think it's on Tubi right now. It's by Rolf Konetsky, I believe it is. He did a couple different movies, but again, I think he's like he did this movie. It's pretty much The Evil Dead meets Scream, I guess, in a way.
Okay.
What it's about is that it's about this evil professor played by Brad Dourif. Okay. and he something fucking happens where like he gets possessed, or he like gets a book that possesses him or something. Anyway, what ends up happening is that these pledges have to go and they have to steal all this stuff to rush this fraternity, sorority, whatever the hell. And so they end up at this like abandoned house in LA somewhere. And so all the shit ensues there. So pretty much, I guess, what is it? So yeah, it possesses the bodies of a bunch of fraternity and sorority pledges during hazing activities. When the students meet one grisly death after another, the survivors realize it's the professor who's doing it all, and they pretty much have to like fight against him. I would say that this movie, again, it is on Tubi at the moment. It has Brad Dourif in it, like I said. Tiffany Shepis is there. Do you know who Perry Shan is by any chance?
I think so. That name does ring a bell for me for some reason.
He is a Asian dude. He is in the Hatchet movies.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So he's in this movie pre-Hatchet. So there's that. I would consider this movie kind of like a weirder I guess I would say it's like a Buffy episode, kind of, but with more boobs.
I'm on board with this. I'm on board with this. I will.
Yeah, because they use like the weird facial shit that Buffy had a little bit for some of the things. So yeah, I would give it a watch. I give it like a 3.
I'll check it
out.
I
didn't mind it. Yeah, I would watch it. Do it. Yeah, the hazing, that was another one. Okay, so I did watch the Initiation of Sarah remake. Okay. Now, I will say that this movie, it was an ABC Family original movie. It is currently on YouTube right now. You can watch it kind of broken up a little bit. Or I think you can rent it or something or buy it. I don't know.
Why would you though?
I wouldn't buy it. I would not buy it. However, I will say I kind of liked this movie. It wasn't as boring as the original Initiation of Sarah. Because pretty much it has Micah Borum. I don't know if you know who that is, but she's an actress lady. She was in Jack Frost, like Riding Cars with Boys. She was in Sleepover, Blue Crush, a couple different movies. Summer Glau, do you know who that is? She's like a actress lady.
Yes.
Okay, no. I gotta on this audio medium, I have to show Pickens all the photos. That's Summer.
No, I don't think I do. It doesn't look
okay. Whatever.
Sense. Yeah.
But Micah Borum, she's this lady. Let me see.
I do recognize her.
Yeah, that's Micah. She is the girl Sarah in the movie. Then you have Joanna Garcia. Please tell me you know who that is.
Yes, okay. I do know that one.
That's Cheyenne from Reba.
Yes.
Tessa Thompson. Do you know who that is?
Yes.
She's in this movie as well. She's kind of having her Marvel moment, but yes. Also, Morgan Fairchild, who's in the original movie, and
love a cameo flat comeback.
Yes. And Jennifer Tilly's in this movie too. She plays Mrs. Hunter pretty much, but yeah, there's that. And it's fucking weird, dude. It is. I will say again, it's ABC Family original movie. Okay. The ABC Family original, yep. And it was actually part of like a Halloween thing where they did 3 different remakes of 3 like underground like horror movies or whatever.
Oh yeah, I remember watching it because I was was Pretty Little Liars playing around that time? Yeah, it was. I was a huge Pretty Little Liars fan, so I do remember that era.
Yeah. Sure. But anyway, so yeah, but this movie's fucking weird. Bad CGI a little bit, all that kind of shit. But I will say, I think it's at least worth a fun little watch just for Jennifer Tilly, if anything. Fun times. But yeah. And then let's see what else is there. The Haunting of Sorority Row. Isn't much to this 2007 movie. It's literally a Lifetime original movie. Girl, I don't know. I think I gave it a 1.5. I think it was. Bleak. This one has Leighton Meester in it. She's like the star, but it's before she was on Gossip Girl, I think. So she did this before that. Like I think one of the like one of the girls in Final Destination at the beginning at the plane, you know who I'm talking
Yeah.
about?
Uh-huh.
She's in this movie. She plays like the sorority president or some shit. Um it's not anything to write home about. Pretty much what it's about, this girl Samantha looks to pressure sorority. Unbeknownst to her, it's haunted by this former pledge who's taking revenge on the people who wronged her. Don't worry about watching it. I wouldn't really worry about it. Yeah, but the Haunting in Sorority Row. I also tried watching Twisted Sisters or Sorority Nightmare on Prime. That one also is not great.
I
Uh,
I watched the preview for that and I was like, I'm not gonna do that one.
I had to turn it off. I was not watching it. Um, Sorority Party Massacre is another one. It is on currently on Prime, I think it is. This is so pretty much this detective goes to an island where these girls are meeting up for this like sorority reunion or some shit like that or whatever. Anyway, he finds out some stupid shit about like I don't even fucking know, dude. Sorority party. It's the sorority party. It's like these girls getting back together, or they're trying to become like the top sorority girl or whatever the fuck. Um, and it was so boring. I gave it a 1.5. I just did not like it. I just don't know what it was. Like, it's aware of what it is. I don't think it's supposed to be good, but like, I didn't find it funny. It was trying to be funny. It wasn't very funny. And it wasn't like scary either. Like, I just don't
Just a lose,
understand.
lose, lose all
It was
around the
lose
board.
lose. And plus, also, they had like fucking, who was it? It was, they didn't have anybody of note in it. Except literally Edo Ross is in it. He is one of the people in 6 Feet Under. He's like one of the supporting characters. And also they had Richard Mull, who recently just passed away. Do you know who he is? Yeah, he was
Mm,
in the movie for like 5 minutes.
mm.
He's one of the Larry Morgan Gordons from But I'm a Cheerleader.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, one of the gays
Yeah.
that breaks
Right.
her out. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I love that
Um
movie.
I do too, but yeah, it's he's the guy who isn't the guy from That's the Raven. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, this movie, I couldn't even fucking tell you what happens in it. It's so fucking stupid. I could not. The other one was Sisters of Death. I tried watching that as well, which is from the 70s, and it was so boring. I couldn't do it.
Oh, I haven't even heard of that one.
Don't worry about it. It's not that good. I don't think it's that good.
Maybe that's why I haven't heard of it.
It's boring. Another one, we're getting close to the end. Sorority House on Haunted House on Sorority Row, which is from 2014. This is the guy who also did Amityville No Escape, which was a direct-to-video Amityville movie.
I I do have a soft spot in my heart for the Amityville direct to video sequels. There's just something about them. They get a pass.
This is Enrique Coto. He did this movie in 2014. Again, I gave it a 1. It was gonna be like a fucking like half a star for me for a minute. However, at the end of it, I kind of came around because I could see that it was. You can tell that this guy Enrique Coto or whoever, he must be from Ohio or something or some shit because this is all done in Ohio. It's probably a non-union thing. Like I think he really just shot it with a bunch of people he knew, is what it seems like. Um, but yeah, I came around on it, but it's not good, and it's on Prime right now, and I don't know why it is, but
Oh, I think because Prime. I mean, Prime has I think the largest like library and like by far, like by like a margin. Like I think they like it's in the 5 digits, while like
right,
Netflix is like the second with like a few thousand. I
right,
think they just kind of. I think if you can release it, Prime will stream it.
yeah. It just isn't good, dude. But I will say it got me because I did like the fact that you could just tell these people seem to know each other. And I think but it was just a lot of vagina, a lot of boobs, just like right out there, just boom. And I was just like, I get what we're
Well,
doing,
gotta
dude.
have a reason to watch it. Someone needs a reason to
Right.
watch it.
But yeah, it just was not. It wasn't giving. The other one is The Scare House from 2014. This is from Gavin Michael Booth. I don't really know what else he's done. Um, he's done some other fucking movies, I guess, but this is about these girls who open like a fun house in Halloween. They're a part of this like sorority, or they were a part of this sorority, and it's pretty much like a revenge story where they bring back all of these like sorority sisters. And pretty much what happened is the people who are running this little fun house, they were unfortunately part of this prank gone wrong on like a guy, and he accidentally died. They got put in prison, and then nobody kind of came to their defense. So then pretty much it was, yeah, that was the whole thing. It's kind of Saw a little bit because they try to be like fucking edgy or whatever the fuck. But I believe the literal lead of this movie, I think Corey is one of the crazy girls or whatever. I think that's literally like his wife, I think, or girlfriend, because they have the same last name, so I'm assuming that they're married. Yeah, no, I didn't like this movie a whole lot either. It was just a one for me. It's just painfully not that scary. It's just more so gross. If anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. You like, I don't think you'll have fun with it. That's the thing. I think you'll have fun with something like The Hazing, or even like maybe Delta Delta Die or something, perhaps. But like any of these, I was like, nah. And then that was like a couple of these where it was a wash. Like I just didn't like. There's one with like The Telling. It's with the Holly and Bridget from The Girls Next Door. They're in it. And it's literally, I think, shot at the Playboy Mansion. I had to turn that off after like 5 minutes. No. All of these are short, by the way, too. They're all like an hour 18, hour 20, which is appreciated. However, no, I have better things to do with my day.
But it does look like you saved the best for last.
Yes, you're correct.
I have seen this one. Oh boy.
Oh God, yeah. So I did save the best for last because it's the most recent one. Oh God, and you did watch it because it is a sequel. It is a sequel to Sorority Babes and Slimeball Bowlerama. Sorority Babes and Slimeball Bowlerama 2.
We were just left on the edge of our seats. The last one had just spent decades just waiting for that conclusion. Oh, we needed to see where the story goes.
Oh God. Well, I will say, good for Brink Stevens directing this movie. Okay.
I agree. Yes. 100%. I am so happy for her. Glad she's got behind the camera. And,
Do you have any particular thoughts on the sequel?
I think it did take me a few days to watch it. I do remember that. Like, I think I watched like the first 10 minutes and I was like, okay, I can't. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna watch it more. Oh, I can't do it. And then it was, what is it like? It's another one. It's like an hour and some odd minutes or something.
It's like an hour. I'm not even kidding. It's like an hour 10. Like, yeah, I really think 10, it's like,
but it feels like double that amount of time. It's just like
Letterboxd literally says it's 61 minutes. It's an hour.
It's an hour, and just God help you. I couldn't. It's
I paid money for this, Pickens. I paid money.
I did too. I gotta support my girl, gotta support Brink Stevens, but also it's like, oof.
It is currently right now on Tubi for free, so you can watch it on there. And listen, it's pretty much like the same kind of plot, I guess, basically, of Sorority Babes.
It really is.
But it has Kelly Maroney in it. And that's it.
Yeah, that's really the only highlight.
Because okay, so Linnea Quigley, first off, is not in this movie. They use her for archival footage. So none of these people who they say are in the movie are actually in it. It's literally archival footage because Linnea Quigley,
that they had to use archival footage for an hour-long movie is oof.
Yeah. Also, Brink Stevens is not in this movie, really. She kind of is. She's a ghost in the movie, so she's Taffy. And then Lisa, Michelle Bauer, again, because they're friends, so, whatever. But they are not physically in the movie. I think they were just, like, green screened on because they're ghosts. So yeah. Kelly Maroney's alive though, so that's fun. But oh yeah, no girl. It was a
It was
slog to
rough.
get through.
Yeah, it really was. Would not
Um
recommend.
I would not recommend it either because I just didn't care for it a whole lot. Um and you know what? And also too, it's not like it was even fun like softcore porn. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't even like that. At least with Final Exam, I could at least be like, okay, this is Fred Olin Ray, and it's like softcore porn. Okay, so you see tits and like whatever, fine. But like this wasn't even that when it probably should have been. Like honestly.
Honestly, yeah, it was just that was yeah. No.
Anyway, whatever. I mean, yeah, I'm not like, I don't want to say I'm mad I watched it, but I kind of am a little bit, but like, whatever. Don't watch it, everybody. If you want to watch it on Tubi, but like, do not pay money for this movie, okay?
Absolutely not.
Charles Band has enough of your money. Like, I just, no. I cannot in good faith be like, yes, you need to check this out. Like, girl, no, you don't. Watch Nightmare Sisters instead, please.
Yeah,
Like, really.
watch any of them. Watch any of them. I know this is
Like,
not a
really.
I know this is not a movie, it's a TV show, but did you ever watch Scream Queens?
I did not, and I kind of want to.
Oh, okay, Jesse, you do need to. I think if you want a quintessential good current sorority horror-ish adjacent thing, it is really good. Jamie Lee Curtis is a lot of fun, and they do play with some tropes of sorority horror and horror in general.
Mm-hmm.
It is Ryan Murphy. You know, Ryan Murphy can be hit or miss with me. Right. Him. This is him at his peak. It's like the campiness of Glee with like the outrageousness of American Horror Story. It's fun. It's silly. Okay. It knows what it is. You laugh at yourself. I would not super recommend the second season. It's not as good, but there are scenes that I still like laugh out loud when I rewatch it.
Yeah, so, yeah. I never got around to it. I never got around to it and it was out, but like I do kind of want to watch it again. I do want to watch it just because I've never seen it, and I think it is for the gays for sure.
Oh, like fully 100% for the gays. Fully 100%.
I love that. But yeah, so yeah, I think that's kind of everything. Do you have any other particular things that you want to shout out or anything in terms of sorority horror?
It's a fun subgenre. You know, I think that, you know, I think we need more frat horror, in my opinion. You know, I think,
true.
You know, frats get all the comedies, sororities seem to get all the horror. You know, why don't we need some more fraternity horror happening?
I will say there are a couple of ones I know I kind of out there a little bit. I will also say I guess you could kind of consider it fraternity sorority, Night of the Creeps, maybe.
Oh yeah,
I throw it in there.
Yeah,
I throw it in there a little bit.
Let's throw it into the mix.
Yeah, fucking love Night of the Creeps. I did an episode on it. I own the director's cut. It's a great movie. Y'all need to go watch it if you haven't already. Yeah, fucking awesome. Is the same guy who did
Frat Dude Bro Massacre 3. That's a fun one.
Yeah. That's also a fun one too. I watched that one as well. I gave that like a 2.5. I might give it a 3 maybe now. It's very aware of what it is and it's not trying to be anything fancy. Dude Bro Party Massacre 3 I think is actually pretty fun. So yeah, like, but then also like you do have the sad ones. Like there is one on my watch list called Rushed. I haven't watched that one, but I think it's like more so like boy dies at frat and mom gets revenge on them.
Ooh, yeah. I watched one recently called Goat, and it's like with Nick Jonas, and it's supposed to be like this whole like, oh, hazing is bad, but I just got like a very, very uncomfortable boner in it and just got really turned on the whole time. So, you know, I think it had I was like, well, sign me up.
It had the opposite.
Nick Jonas like yells, like pees on me and yells at me and says horrible things to me. Like, yes, please.
Hey, listen, we're all just human, okay? Listen, but no, I do think like there would be interesting fraternity horror to happen. Because, you know, why the hell not? But I don't know. I think it is a very interesting subgenre. It's kind of, I mean, I can't really get too deep on it because we're already like over 2 hours now, but it's fine. But no, I think it is interesting because like fraternities and sororities are something that we look at with a certain level of disdain, I think, a lot of the time. And so it is kind of right to make into a horror movie, you know?
Oh,
Because there's already a
completely.
preconceived idea.
Right, because is all that secrecy. You do hear about the negative things that go into
Right.
it. It is kind of like a whole. It's that click thing. It's the popular
Right.
kids at the lunch table kind of thing. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely like a ripe for horror for sure.
I think so too. Yeah. And I think just having this conversation, I'm glad we were able to have it just because like it is super fun to talk about. And, you know, we were able to go through a bunch of movies. Again, I'm crazy and I watched a bunch and you didn't have to watch any of them, that you didn't want to, but, yeah, I've learned that, there's gonna be a whole lot of boobs in them. Um, the acting is going to be all over the place. Uh, you may or may not get some character development. Maybe. I don't know. I don't really know what
You
I
will be
learned from
taking a
this.
lot of showers.
You'll be taking a lot of showers. And you'll have to suspend your disbelief on all of these people being somehow college aged.
That part too. And there
Yeah.
may be a mystery or a secret that you need to keep, or death will come for you.
Yes. Yeah, pretty much. I think that's what I've learned on my whole journey of sorority horror. And I'm glad to leave it in the past, perhaps. There are a
Yes.
couple of these I would revisit. I am hoping that there are a few that you will now watch as well, or any of our listeners will watch as well. Um, but yeah, I'm glad to leave this in the past and watch just other things that make me, you know, that only rot my brain so much. I felt like my brain rotted just a little bit more. A little bit, just a little bit. But you know what? I cared for myself and I at least turned the ones off that I really didn't want to watch. So
We love that self-care. We
self-care.
support it here.
I really do. I mean, it's yeah, because you are listen, but yeah, go check some of these things out. I think if anything, out of our list, I guess I to leave off the people out of what we've talked about today, what are the ones that you would actually really recommend to people?
I would definitely. So obviously, the initiation is probably the one I would recommend the most. Because I
Same.
also think it's the least seen out of the ones I would recommend. Obviously, the Black Christmases, but like, come on, let's be honest, you've already seen them.
Yeah.
And I would actually, yeah, throw in House on Sorority Row in there too. That one's one,
Sure.
and Nightmare Sisters. If you want like a real
Yes.
for one of the quote unquote bad ones, watch Nightmare Sisters.
I agree. I will second what you said as well. I will also throw in One Dark Night. I definitely want people to watch that one. I think it's really fun. Let me see. I would at least give a honorable mention to Hard to Die. I would watch that one too. I think it's really stupid and fun. The Hazing, I actually think is kind of decent, and you should watch it. Um, and I think that's kind of it. So yeah, those are the ones that I would recommend. I think they're worth your time. They're fun. They're not going to hopefully make you fall asleep. And so I appreciate that. But yeah, I think that's everything I can think of, Pickens. But we've been talking for like 2.5 hours almost, which is cool. It's to be expected, but we had all these fucking movies to talk about. But thank you so much for coming on the show today. You've plugged yourself I'm sure you did before, but you plugged yourself on plenty of shows. So you want to give your social media handles so people can follow you if you want?
Yeah. I mainly use Instagram. That's my big one. So you can follow me at Party Pickens. Pretty easy to find. You'll find a whole bunch of just opinions about twinks getting railed in our most holy offices. And also what Jacob Elordi right now is who I've really been obsessing over. And also, I'll occasionally make a cocktail for you. Like just now, I just made a cocktail for 2023 and it was a Long Island iced tea because I needed all the alcohol after last year. And I'm also entering the TikTok realm. I'll occasionally make a TikTok, usually after one or two glasses of wine, and I feel confident. Jumping in front of the Gen Zers and surviving. But yeah, follow me up and talk to me anytime. pretty nice guy.
Yeah, yeah. And then you also get to post cute little selfies with your boyfriend. And I like that as well. It's very cute. Yeah. And I'm not really editing this a whole lot. So if you want to follow my show, you could do so at Cult Cinema Circle on Instagram. It's Cult Cinema Circle. Twitter is Cult Cine Circle. And then on Letterboxd, I'm Jesse, Jesse, Kremp, Kremp. So you get to listen to all the stupid shit that I watch and you get to see what maybe I'm covering on the show, maybe, and all that kind of stuff. Rate and subscribe on your podcatcher of choice. So leave 5 stars, 1 to 2 sentence review. It gets people to find the show and talk to me and all that good shit. And I think that's everything I can think of. But without further ado, thank you so much for, listening to the Cult Cinema Circle podcast. And I will say, and remember, Theta Pi says goodbye, I guess, right?
Yes, and oh yes, cheers to being young, staying young, and dying young.
Exactly. And also Delta Rho Pi never die.
Delta Rho Chi never will die.
Yeah, Delta Rho Chi never will die. All right, I think we're done. But thank you so much, Pickens. Thanks for listening, everybody, and I hope you have a good night and everything. All right.
Oh.